A Georgetown family is rocked by a sudden and unexplainable tragedy. Young 12-year-old Regan McNeil is severely ill, but no doctor can explain her symptoms. Something has possessed Regan, turning her into a vessel of evil. Her mother, Chris, enlists the help of the church. Soon, the jaded and faithless Father Karras and the experienced but ailing Father Marin are the only ones who can save Regan from the devil himself in the 1973 horror classic, The Exorcist. I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
I'm Austin Johnson.
And this is Filmgazm. Welcome to the Filmgazm podcast. This is the first of many anniversary spotlights where we're celebrating a number of films that have hit a significant milestone this year. With the release of the sixth film in the long-running franchise this week, we felt it was a fitting time to revisit this horror classic, which is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. Hard to believe, 50 years of absolute hell.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's really cool to be able to talk about William Friedkin just months after his passing. So probably his his masterpiece, The Exorcist. Yeah, it's still so good. Every time I watch it, I forget how much I love it. So this is an absolute blast to revisit and do on the pod and kick off this, like you said, this really cool schedule we have for anniversary episodes. Feels right to do one that's hitting its 50 and one of the most important horror movies ever made.
Yeah, and starting off October right. Like good timing on all fronts with this one. It really was.
Yeah, you can guess kind of what our October lineup's going to be. Of course, it's going to be genre-based, horror-based. But we got all kinds of stuff, November and December. So I'm really excited to dive into some movies we love and also some movies that maybe we need to revisit. So I'm excited.
For sure. The Exorcist, you mentioned one of the most important horror movies of all time. Together with Rosemary's Baby and The Omen, these three films kind of caused a trifecta that enhanced the satanic panic in America, along with Dungeons and Dragons and one lady and her therapist who lied about all the rape. All this shit happened all at once, and America was terrified of the devil for quite some time, in a time that's not the Salem witch trials, where we had rational thought and it's insane to me that people were like, the devil's out there and he's getting your kids. It's like, no, you have a driver's license. Why are we still talking about this? I don't know. I keep expecting it to happen again because we're that stupid. It would happen again.
Yeah. God, dude. Yeah. What a time. Pre-internet, pre kind of you take things at face value, I think, when you don't have all this access to all these different opinions. And so if you hear something, you take it even more seriously, right? So this guy's convincing enough he's telling me that this stuff is real. It really can really ruin your life.
Extremely. I find it ironic that the Church of Satan is the only church I can think of that hasn't actually hurt anybody.
Yeah, isn't that great? Yeah, I think this time, or as I've gotten older and watched The Exorcist, which I guess we can kind of go ahead and say, obviously I've seen this a bunch of times, and saw it probably sometime in middle school the first time, and I was I was that kid who kind of laughed at it as a defense mechanism because I didn't really want to get into it, and then I saw it again at 16 or 17, and I was just eyes wide open, jaw dropping on the floor, and holy hell, this is so good. And it's just gotten better and better. But now when I watch it, there is really, really, really amazing stuff within the text, right? Obviously the book is super acclaimed. But yeah, just somewhat but wouldn't that drive you out of Reagan? No, it would bring us together. You and Reagan? No, you and us, all that kind of not just scaring for scaring's sake. And this movie, people call really scary. I disagree. I think it's just a great fucking movie. And I think it's just so well done that you can't help but get locked in. When a movie locks you in, whether it's intentionally scary or not, it's just so well done. And I think it's just so well done that you can't help but get locked in when a movie locks you in, whether it's intentionally scary or not, it's just so well done. And I think it's just so well done that you can't help but get locked in when a movie locks you in, whether it's intentionally scary or not, it can get under your skin, right? So like even if a movie's not, like quote unquote horror movie, but it's so well done, like Whiplash we did last week. It's so well done that it can't help but like creep into your skin and kind of make you start thinking about philosophical stuff. So that's to me like its greatest attribute is that rewatchability, the ability to have 50 years of conversations that haven't ended. That's its power. So I've never been like, oh, it's this scariest thing. It's like that's up to the viewer, right? That's totally up to like what gets you going. But it certainly has a way of just making you like making you get so focused on what's happening on the screen that like that's the power of filmmaking, and that's why I love it.
It's very true. You put a director like Friedkin in the chair for something like this, and you're going to have an experienced eye crafting
Yeah,
something dark and terrifying, but also just very well constructed. Uh,
yeah,
like
extremely.
this is maybe fifth or sixth time I've seen The Exorcist. Uh, I still like part three better.
I love part three. Yeah,
Part three is
yeah.
legitimately scary to me. Like,
Yeah, see that one I think is more its intentions are to just like to like freak you out and so yeah, yeah, that movie there's some like scenes of it that are fucking ridiculous. Whereas I think The Exorcist is really trying to tell you an amazing story.
mhm.
And that's like why it stood the test of time, whereas like Exorcist 3 is more in favor of like true horror fans who are like we like wild crazy shit to be thrown at us. But The Exorcist can still be watched by people who aren't horror fanatics, and they can still be like, "Damn, this is a good movie. Like this is just so well done. The cast is sublime. Like the writing is great. Comes from a great book, and I'm sure we're gonna get into that. So, yeah, I get that. I get that.
I also like that this is one of those films that emerged from popular literature at a time when, the up and comer directors of the 70s they wanted to make movies out of books that they liked, not like,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't want to do Shakespeare for the fifth time. They wanted to do like, The Godfather and The Exorcist and The Sting and these books that
Yeah,
were celebrated. They're like, these would make pretty good movies. And they did. They really did.
yeah. My favorite like adaptation is Ken Kesey's "One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest"
Mm,
'75.
yeah.
Incredible adaptation. Changed the things like the right way. And then Milos Forman just puts his little turn on it. It's like, yeah, the '70s are so good because there are guys that put passion into passion and fire with fire, and here we are.
This was I think this was the first time I've ever watched the unrated director's cut of The Exorcist.
That's weird. Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I found this Blu-ray at Walmart for like $10 and it was like a really cool minimalist cover and I was like, "Oh, this is nice." And I love the random inserts of the demon's face just in the
yeah,
celluloid. Like
yeah,
unspoken, never draw attention to it. If you blink, you might miss it, but if you see it, you're just like, "Did I see that? Like am I losing it or did I really see that?" And
yeah,
that's so good to just keep the audience on edge the whole time using nothing but just the slightest spark of evil.
yeah. I watched it whatever a few nights ago, and I same thing. I hadn't seen that version before. I'd always like just use my old DVD to watch it, or if it's on a streaming service. And I also got probably pretty much the exact same copy not that long ago. And but I still hold on to the original copy that I had when I was like 15 or 16 because it's just one of those like $5 DVDs at Walmart that I gotta have. But yeah, man, I felt the same thing where I was like, have I seen this before? Like, have I seen like those images? I don't think I have because I've seen this like 20 times. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. So like, what is this? Really cool. I looked into it and I was like, oh yeah, this is the unrated part is that director's cut is those like those little kind of which I liked. I think some people might think, oh, like I won't really keep. I liked that. I thought it was a good touch.
It made me think of Tyler Durden's Secret Dicks in Fight Club.
Yeah, which is also great. Which is also fucking hilarious touch on that movie.
I think the extended cut also includes more of Marin in on his dig in the Middle East, and I think a lot more of Regan. Like I think the whole crucifix masturbation sequence is extended.
Yeah,
Because pitching that to Warner Brothers in 1973 had to have been tough.
Yeah, and I've heard a lot of people, talk about that opening bit with rest in peace, Max von Sydow.
Mm.
I love the opening of this movie. I think it's so fucking good, so out of left field. It's really cool, and I like to think that the Safdie brothers were kind of emulating that in Uncut Gems when they have the scenes in Ethiopia at the beginning of Uncut Gems. It's like, yeah, I love that. I love like taking something way over here, like what's going on? Oh, why are we seeing this? Like, we know we're going to be in Georgetown. We know where it's about this little girl getting possessed. Why are we over here? It's just a great touch to me, and kind of it's a completely different lighting too. Like, it's the sun's fucking bright, the shadows. Whereas in Georgetown, it's always got the same kind of like monotone, like, oof, this is kind of like the doldrums. So I think it's a great kind of contrast, and I like that they extended that bit because it kind of forces you to get into it. So I've always loved the beginning of this movie.
I love that you bring up Uncut Gems because that movie is very much about a different kind of possession, but one that's just as strong.
Yeah.
And it does start out similar. I wouldn't be surprised if the Safdies were
influenced
by this. That's cool.
The Safdies pretty much live in the 70s. So yeah, I think for sure.
Okay. So my question to you.
Here we go.
It's pretty simple. Do you believe in demonic possession?
Yes and no. Yeah. I mean, I think one of the reasons this is one of my maybe my favorite horror movie. I don't know. It's really hard. Right. It changes all the time, but it's up there. It's always in the conversation to me for like my favorite horror movie. Just one of my favorite movies in general. Is the how serious it takes itself without being up its own ass. It just decides like a great balance of those things. And there's specific scenes where the questions that we ask are the questions that Ellen Burstyn asks. Like what is this real? Is this actually happening? Is my daughter actually under demonic possession? Obviously, it's very extreme in this movie, and and there's stories out there, books out there that are very very extreme. But one of like the key elements of this movie is that they do explain that it doesn't really matter, if I think I'm possessed, but you, Connor, like, dude, you're like, what are you talking about? You're crazy. Like, that's not real. It's like, yeah, but it doesn't matter what you think. It matters what I think. Like, why do we have so much mental health going on? Is people deal with their own things, and I can't get inside of their head to figure out like what it is, which is why you have to take that stuff so it's delicate. You can't downplay someone's mental illness or predict what's going to happen with it. It's their journey. It's their thing. And sometimes I think people lose control and they lose sight of what is real and what isn't, what's and so therefore I think yes, like I think it can happen. Do I think the things that happen to Linda Blair, probably not, right? But like I do think someone can get to that point where they're doing things out of their own skin, out of their own, they're not themselves. I think that's very possible. I've seen some weird stuff happen when I used to, do a lot of mission work. I saw some strange stuff, like people, kind of not, I wouldn't call it dancing, but kind of like doing stuff on the floor as if like they're being, so when you see it for yourself, you're like, I mean, this is a bunch of bullshit, but it's also like, yeah, because that doesn't happen to me, but this guy's going through something clearly, something's going on, whether it's real or not. I'm seeing it, I'm seeing weird stuff happen. I'm seeing people, speak in tongues and kind of like, do the holy water at them. Like I'm watching this happen. So I don't ever think that's going to happen to me because I think I have control of, those thoughts and like what happens. But shit, I mean, if you believe it, it's true, right? That's like the whole point of The Exorcist. The whole point of this movie is she's going through it. It's not your path. It's not your journey. It's hers, and it's happening. Do I think like the demon has full control? Do I think like demons are real? I don't know. That's a really, really hard thing to answer. But I do think people can get lost in their own heads for sure, to the point of doing things that they're not maybe capable of doing on their own.
Interesting. So you see demonic possession as more of a a form of mental illness brought on by the power of suggestion.
Yeah, for sure, for 100%. Yeah,
That's to me that's scarier than than a
it's
creature taking
waste.
control
Yeah,
of your body. Like that seems like you could somehow fight it, but if it's literally your own mind turned against itself, I don't see how you can fight that.
yeah. I mean, yeah. Again, I think that's why I love this genre so much. Is it plays with that? It plays with which one, like where are you at? For me, I guess my ultimate answer is it's fucking gray. It's a gray area. It's not a black and white. It's not a yes or no. It's very like each case like deserves its own attention. And I love these kinds of movies. I love ghost movies. I love possession movies. Like I love even if they're shitty, I like them because it's like such a fun thing to think about. That might sound crazy, but I legitimately enjoy going down that road. And I get why some people stay away from it, but I can't. I can't help it. It's a disease.
I see. For me, it's like I don't. You tell me a ghost story, I'm gonna immediately be like, "That's great," but no fucking way.
Yeah, yeah.
Then again, I haven't had a real like unexplainable event happen to me. I've had some weird shit happen to me, but always stuff I could kind of be like, "Well, there's got to be there's an explanation." When I'm like, faced with like a shadow person making me levitate, then I'm gonna be like, okay, now I need to talk to somebody.
Yeah, yeah. Father cares.
Yeah. I need an old priest and a young priest right now.
Oh man, yeah. I hear that for sure because I too personally have never been through something that like literally moved me. Like made me like do that whole thing where like your back starts like turning like in ways that never could. That's never happened to me, but I have seen some weird stuff like. And my family has because my family's always been involved in churches and stuff, and doing different mission work across the world. And different cultures have different things going on, and scary but fascinating.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm glad I'm not susceptible to that because like if I feel like you got to let this shit in. If this stuff does exist, it preys on the weak-minded and the fearful. And that's how it gets in. It's not taking over, world leaders,
Yeah.
doctors. It's going after children and people who, think angels are real. So it's, yeah, it's subjective. I've heard some stories that are hard to argue with.
Yeah.
Ghosts that have solved murders and shit like that.
It's crazy. Yeah,
So,
but yeah.
until I see it, until the devil looks me in the eye and says, "I'm here, motherfucker," I'm gonna just go ahead and say no.
Yeah, I totally hear that. I mean, yeah, because until you experience or someone very very close to you experiences something, and maybe you're kind of a part of it in some way.
Yeah.
I always love that character. I love in these movies. I always love the Ellen Burstyn character who's like my God, like they almost would rather it happen to them to take away the pain of whoever they're whoever the person that they love, right? I love that character. Like I love like Ron Livingston in The Conjuring. He's just like he's just this confused goofy ass dad who's like just what I mean. I love those characters. I love those people who are just kind of like they're like holy shit. They slowly start to accept it, like this is happening. Like this is going down. They're just as fascinating to me as the person who's being possessed.
Yeah, I do love how like long it takes Chris to get on board. Like she sees her daughter's head turn completely around. She sees furniture flying at her, and then she's talking to the doctors like, "So what's the diagnosis?" And I'm like, "Lady, get to a church right now. Like, what more do you need to see?"
Yeah, she certainly takes her time. Of course, adds to the tension of just like, you're kind of losing time here.
I do love also all the doctors who are just like, well, there's this super obscure brain disease that one person has had in 30 years. It's probably that. That would explain the freaking boudoir flying across the room.
Yeah. Oh, spasms. Yeah.
Terrible case of nerves.
That's why the bed was yeah. Which is God. Some of that stuff, dude. Some of the effects and some of those like kind of set pieces in the room are so fucking good. Like they're so freaky and so kind of like, it makes you kind of like want to wash your eyes out type thing. Like I shouldn't be seeing this, and I think that every time I watch it, I'm never like, oh, this is boring. Every little moment in that room is like, holy hell, so crazy.
Very true. And that's, back in 73, this was very new to an audience that had not seen anything this dark before.
Yeah, what a time.
Yeah.
What a time.
You imagine like blank slate, the darkest shit you've maybe seen is like Rosemary's Baby, maybe, or like fucking Karloff's Frankenstein, and you go to see this and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, especially as an American viewer, right? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's some of the stuff in the 60s is just like, just trash. Like, it's just like, and nothing against, they had rules set in place where they couldn't do certain things. And that's really sad. But God, man, some of this, you already mentioned, Rosemary's Baby obviously deserves a huge shout, but you mentioned The Omen, and The Wicker Man and The Exorcist, those movies of the 70s that are just like, wow. Like, wow. I mean, just complete game changers. And I love that The Exorcist did so well, like box office wise and all that. Such a cool, tons of Oscar nominations. I love that about it too, because it was really good when it came out, and it's still really good. I love that. I love longevity.
Those are the best films. All right, let's get into this. We've got quite a lot to cover on The Exorcist because this is the gift keeps on giving. The Exorcist is based on the 1971 novel of the same name by William Peter Blatty, who also wrote the film's screenplay. He also wrote a sequel called Legion, which became The Exorcist 3, which Blatty also directed. Very accomplished guy.
Yeah.
The novel, in turn, was inspired by a real-life case of demonic possession that occurred in 1949. Have you read the book?
I have. It's been a minute, but I remember being. I don't read nearly as much as I used to, but I remember that being one that I read very fast because it was just so fucking gripping. Maybe like a 2 or 3 day, I'd read like, whatever, certain amount of pages per night, and it just knocked it out. And was like, whew. It made me fall in love with the movie even more. I love when that happens. They go like when they go hand in hand. It's the best.
I agree. I read it about a year ago, and I was impressed and surprised at how accurate, like how close to the book the movie is. They cut out some things like Kinderman and Karras's budding friendship got cut, and thankfully Regan's aggressive diarrhea got cut.
Yeah, that's a tough one to we have the piss, but that's like one of the first things. But the diarrhea, oh boy,
it can come out the front as much as it wants to. I don't need to see it come out the back. I don't need to see that.
No, I don't. Yeah, I definitely don't need it. I actually the friendship thing, man. I would take an extra 20 minutes of runtime because I think that's a really cool part of the book. I just like love some of the images that you put in your mind of them kind of walking down the street. It's just like these two guys who are. I love two dudes just like at a certain place, like time and place in their life, contemplating everything. I love that. Give me that just as a movie on its own, and I'm in.
Well, I love Kinderman's always like, hey, I got passes. You want to go see a film? Like, just
dude, that's Kinderman's. Lee J. Cobb doesn't even need to even try, but he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna bring the heat. Like I'm gonna Jason Miller's gonna be better because of me. Like Ellen Burstyn's gonna be better because of me. He like totally brings a awesome thing to the table in this movie and doesn't even need to. He could just be like the detective, like the rat. But instead, it's like, man, that's Lee J. Cobb who like puts his stamp on the movie. As I've gotten older, the more and more I'm like, man, like this cast is placed perfectly. There's a hierarchy to it. There's a star power while also having the right supporting people. It just makes sense, it works so well. And Max von Sydow coming in like here and then there, boom. It's like this perfect off the bench. I'm coming in to save the game type role. It's perfect.
Even crazier when you consider that nearly everybody in this cast was like 4th, 5th choice. They did not get their dream cast. They worked with what they had, and it was perfect.
insane because it's like sometimes movie magic is real. You know, sometimes you have this guy in mind and this guy, and then Jason Miller takes over and you're like, god damn, that actually worked out perfectly.
Yeah. So as I said, this was based on a real life case in 1949. And in this incident, a 14-year-old boy identified only as either Roland Doe or Robbie Mannheim. The kid's name was never released. He was reportedly exorcised by Father Raymond J. Bishop and another priest we'll talk about in a minute here. Little Robbie was introduced to a Ouija board by his spiritualist Aunt Harriet. And after Harriet died, the family began to hear strange noises in the house, moving furniture, shit was levitating, and it was all happening around Robbie. So, getting creepy. Yeah. According to the traditional story, the boy then underwent a number of exorcisms. The family did not wait. They did not really see a lot of doctors. They're like, get the priest, shit's floating. And Edward,
good call.
Yeah. Edward Hughes, a Roman Catholic priest, conducted an exorcism at Georgetown University Hospital. During the exorcism, the boy allegedly slipped one of his hands out of the restraints, broke a bed spring from under the mattress, and used it as an impromptu weapon, slashing the priest's arm and halting the exorcism.
Crazy. God.
The family, the family traveled to St. Louis, where Roland's cousin contacted one of his professors at St. Louis University, who in turn spoke to William S. Bowdern, an associate of College Church. And together, those priests visited Roland in his relative's home. They observed a shaking bed, flying objects. The boy spoke in a guttural voice. He had an aversion to anything sacred, holy water crosses. He was freaking out. Bowdern was granted permission from the Archbishop to try another exorcism. And that one took place in South St. Louis, Missouri. Before this priest began, they called another priest. They just got the A-team together.
Yeah. I mean, if you can, that's what you do. If you can, if you're back against the wall and you have the money the resources to get the best people, fucking do it in any situation.
you get as much God in that room as you can get hold of.
Get the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit in that bitch. Let's go.
This guy, Walter Halloran, he was called to the psychiatric wing of the hospital. He assisted Bowdern. Another priest, William Van Roo, third Jesuit priest, was also there to assist. And they just worked this kid with the Bible. Halloran said that during this exorcism, the words evil and hell appeared on the kid's body. This has not been substantiated. They might have just been in the heat of the moment. Some brief hallucination. I'm assuming that's what happened. I'm gonna choose to believe that's what happened.
Yeah.
The mattress began to shake again. The kid broke Father Halloran's nose during the exorcism, and apparently after it was over, the kid went on to lead a rather ordinary life. So this A-team of priests got this demon or whatever the hell, Aunt Harriet's spiritual ghost, out of the kid. And the kid went home and never had another incident.
Yeah, God. And if you're a person of faith, you read that, you're like, yeah, like that's what I'm talking about. If you're extreme, atheist or even I think like a lot of like super liberal people would be like, that's fucking dog shit. Like y'all wrote that, it's bullshit. But you give that to a down the middle guy, a dude who just likes storytelling, and you're like, God damn, I got to make something with that, And that's definitely where I see myself, is a down the middle, like, I love it all, baby. give me the weirdos from both sides. Give me the opinions. Give me all that stuff, and I'll just be fascinated by it, be entertained by it. So I would like to think that P. Blatty was one of those people who was like, I'm going to write something about this, similar to this, because it's so engaging. How do you read that and not think, wow, that's a story, that's a proper story? And then he writes his own screenplay for the movie. Magic.
I agree, but I do love the idea of like telling that story to a hardcore atheist, and their immediate reaction is just boo, bullshit.
Yeah.
Didn't happen.
This story sucks. Yeah. Or like on SpongeBob, that one fish is like, oh brother, this guy stinks. Let's start throwing tomatoes. Yeah, but the God people are like, see, like, oh, fuck yeah, like
Yeah, there is. You got to have middle ground. You can't be an asshole, but you can't also be like, "Thou is wrong. The end is near." Like you can't be that psycho either.
Yeah, yeah. Don't be a psycho. Just
No, don't be a
see
psycho.
things.
Don't be a dick. Think for yourself.
Yeah, yeah. See things down the middle every now and again. For fuck's sake.
So the novel didn't do great. It was selling poorly, and then Blatty went on the Dick Cavett show to discuss whether or not the devil's real. And I guess he had quite a speech prepared because as soon as that show aired, the sales of this book skyrocketed.
Yeah, I've heard about that. I haven't seen that. I bet that's fascinating.
I bet. I remember reading a funny anecdote about this guy who had a roommate who was very religious, and he was reading The Exorcist, and he couldn't finish it. It was freaking him out too much. He thought it was evil, so he chucked it over a bridge. The friend went and bought another copy, ran it under a faucet, and put it on the guy's nightstand.
Yes. Oh, that's fucked up, but really funny.
Yep. Nightmares for the rest of his life.
Yeah. Oh God. And that's when he started. Yeah. He was next in line to be hold under demonic possession. It's that guy.
The gate is open. Come on in.
Yeah. See, all it took was one cruel joke from a friend for him to be like, "Oh, this is real. this is real."
I love that.
That's incredible.
Blatty had a surprising amount of control over production. He produced the film and he personally chose William Friedkin to direct. Friedkin had.
On the heels of French Connection, on the that just happened, and who better to tell a story?
And Friedkin took the job largely because Howard Hawks had said something about him that irked him, something about his you're not as good as you think you are, or something like that. So he was like, "Oh, I'll show them all."
Yeah, hold my beer, bitch. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's the best. To me, it's the best back-to-back like Hollywood. Two hits ever, ever. Of course, you can make arguments for certain things that have happened, but for two movies to be as successful as they were, as good, and stand the test of time over 50 years, and in one case win the Best Picture Oscar, and then the other one be up and almost win and be up for 10 other things, is there is no better from one guy better back-to-back combo I've ever seen.
Yeah, not gonna argue with that. It's the guy is just he's walking away from an explosion with the French Connection and with another grenade in hand for The Exorcist.
Yeah, total chaos. Yeah. Yeah.
Friedkin had trouble casting the film. The script that got passed around Hollywood, a lot of people were like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
Yeah, seriously.
A lot of A-list actors were like, "I'm not going to be caught dead anywhere near this production."
Well, if you're say you're Robert Redford and you're you're reading lines and you're just kind of looking at it and you read, "Stick your cock up your ass, you motherfucking worthless cocksucker," you'd be like, "Nah." I think I'll do the Sting. No way. No way. And I don't really blame these people. I really don't. I mean, your mother sucks cocks in hell, Karis, you faithless slime. I would turn it down too. There's no way. I mean, because it's insane. It's an insane screenplay. I've seen a copy of it, and just looking through it, it's different when you put your eyes on the page, on the words, versus hearing it, delivered really well. Yeah. When you read it aloud and you're laughing because it's this is insanity, and then you get these people to actually articulate what these words mean, give it context. That's the skill, right? So, I would read it too and be like, "Fuck off."
I imagine there was just a lot of ugh.
Yeah. Well, if you're Al Pacino and you're going home to hang out. You're maybe you're hanging out with your cousin or some shit, and you're like, "Man, look at this! There's no way I'm doing this shit. I'm Michael Corleone. I'm not doing this."
Hey, Al Pacino's wife. You're not gonna believe the script that I read today.
Oh man,
Green
but Al Pacino.
slime and demons and what the fuck? I think I'm gonna do that Serpico picture.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I think I'm gonna play a cop. Yeah, I think I'm gonna play an undercover cop. Which ended up being a great decision. I mean, for him to do Corleone 3 years in a row is like, okay, fair play, checkmate.
I gotta fucking watch Serpico. I still haven't seen that.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I've
Oh, I
not
didn't know
seen
that.
Serpico.
I've seen it a few times. I mean, the first time I watched it was because of It's Always Sunny. That great episode where Charlie thinks he's Serpico. It's wonderful. Like Dennis, it's to me, Dennis and Frank, one of their best ventures ever in the entire series, and Charlie is just on one. And so I watched Serpico. I was like, okay, I got to see this.
Yeah.
It made me laugh. A couple times I laughed at Serpico because I was like, I totally see what Charlie's doing. But man, I wouldn't call it like a great 70s movie, but it is one of the 70s performances for me. Like Pacino is holding that thing together. He's fucking on one as per usual. He gets that one scene where he's just screaming at everybody, flipping chairs and just, he's the best at that. He's the best at freaking out and kind of like being like, it's me against the world, type thing. So it's great. I recommend people watch it for him. It's a good movie, but he is excellent. And that's why I would watch it. But damn, I thought you had seen that one already.
No, that's like the only like iconic Pacino movie I have yet to see. I've seen like all of his other gold. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, you see his 70s run is unprecedented.
Yeah. Godfather to And Justice for All. And it's just beautiful.
Yeah. They're not, to me, they're not all perfect movies, but he is perfect in every single one of them.
Yes, indeed. I would love to have seen him in this movie. Like, the power of Christ compels you. Like, just crazy. That'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. First, you get the demon. Then you get the holy water. Yeah, I love that guy to death, man. He's one of our best ever.
So basically, yeah, it was like, the idea was if this thing failed, everyone associated with it was going down too. Like this thing had to be the greatest movie ever, or it wasn't going to work.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
At the time, Ellen Burstyn, Linda Blair, and Jason Miller were all unknowns, and Warner Brothers didn't like that. They wanted names. But Blatty and Friedkin were on the same page pretty much the whole time, and they teamed up against the studio and got their way.
God, what? I mean, if Linda Blair isn't as good as she is, this movie could suck so bad.
Yeah, her commitment. Goddamn. I mean, we're gonna get to Blair. The way that all happened was very fortunate. The first guy considered for Father Karras was Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, I mean, it's 1972. You're casting a movie. Where do you go? Jack.
However, and I love this. Friedkin ultimately decided there was something too, quote, unholy about Jack for him to play a convincing priest. They were like, there's no way this guy went to seminary school. No fucking way.
Yeah, that's a good call. And it ends up working out because he does The Last Detail, 1973, and he's wonderful in that movie with Randy Quaid. And then does Chinatown and One Flew Over. He's good. he's all right.
He's the only guy whose 70s run, challenges Pacino's.
Yeah, I think they're probably the two guys. Of course, De Niro has some like bangers, but it's not as like full. Yeah. It's not as full. Like yeah, of course he has the Godfather 2 and the Taxi Driver, but the fullness of Pacino's decade, the batting average, it's just crazy. So I'm with you there. Nicholson, my God. It's for another different day.
Jack. Blatty
the best ever, maybe?
Yeah. I every time I'm watching a Jack performance that I have not yet seen, I'm like, how, like, it's almost like they should have stopped making movies because it's like, well, no one's gonna be this good again.
Yeah, I've watched movies I don't really even like, but he's so good in it. I'm like, yeah, I love this movie, and I'm gonna watch it again because of him.
He's fucking magnetic. Blatty and Friedkin nearly cast Carol Burnett as Chris McNeil.
Okay, interesting.
They thought that she could translate her comedic talents to a dramatic horror performance.
Yeah,
Studio did not think that. They said absolutely not.
we've always talked about the translation of comedy to horror. It's the consistent conversation that we have on Filmgazm. So I see the idea behind that. Yeah,
I can also see why the studio said no, because Carol Burnett had a very precise image that could have been
yeah,
completely tarnished by this movie.
that's very true. Very true.
Yeah. It's like, it's like Bob Hope starring in fucking Last House on the Left. It's like, this is weird. It's neat, but this isn't right.
Yeah, yeah. That's perfect.
Um, Jason Miller actually had studied to be a priest for 3 years before he pursued acting after suffering a spiritual crisis. So he was like, "Hey, I can do this because I did."
Yeah, yeah. Pick me.
Yeah, he said he was born to play Karis, and yeah. Regan proved exceptionally difficult to cast. The studio was hesitant to cast an actual minor, as the character does some rather heinous shit in this movie. And, having a child say these things and perform these acts, that's taboo even today. So they were like, we got to figure something out.
Yeah, it's a frightening. It kind of makes you question, like, it's happened a lot in horror, right? Where like a role can just ruin somebody, and it's kind of like, should we do this? Should we make things if it costs that?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's happened multiple times, and every time I watch, a child this good in something, I'm like, yeah, that feels like possession, like
Well,
that, yeah.
here's with The Exorcist, Linda Blair is pretty much the only actor on set who was not really that affected by the subject matter. She was fine.
Which is crazy, right?
Yeah.
She's the one that's got the insane makeup on, and like her lips are split open with green and blood,
Yeah.
and is stabbing herself in the vagina, like, ugh, like you would think that's gonna take a toll on someone under the age of even 17.
Well, she reprised the role in Exorcist 2 and also played the role in a parody movie in the 90s called Repossessed with Leslie Nielsen. So I don't think there were hard feelings.
I've never seen that. I need to, though.
Me too. I know it's going to suck, but I want
But
it.
yeah, it adds to the lore. Yeah.
There was she had a cameo on an episode of Supernatural where she played a cop. And the whole time, the character of Dean Winchester is like, "You look familiar." I know, no, I've seen you. And then at the end of it, he's like, "I don't know why, but I really want to get some pea soup. You want to get some pea soup?" It's like, stupid, but I love it.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm cool with it.
So there were some other contenders before Linda Blair showed up. Denise Nickerson was considered. She played Violet Beauregard in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
She was interested. Her family said no. They thought the script was too dark. Can't blame them. And she just was the gum chewing kid from Willy Wonka, and that was it.
That's the legacy.
Yeah, she was a blueberry. And and I'm not saying that anything wrong with that. Willy Wonka is one of my favorite movies of all time. So
it's great. Yeah, it's a great movie. Yeah.
Janet Leigh refused to let her daughter Jamie Lee Curtis audition at all.
Oh, that's so wild, right? Oh,
yeah, like 11, 12-year-old Jamie Lee Curtis could have been Regan from The Exorcist.
So how old is she in Halloween?
I think she was like 18.
And then she's in Prom Night. Yeah, like, I mean, yeah, she's one of the, maybe some people would say the Scream Queen.
And 1950. So she was 20 when Halloween came out.
Okay. So let's see, 73, so 6 years later, 6 years earlier. Or wait,
she would have been
78.
She would have been 15 in
15.
The Exorcist.
Yeah, I mean, God, that's wild. That would have been such a crazy addition to her already loaded resume.
Well, here's the thing. Does this become like the beginning of Jamie Lee's career or the end of Jamie Lee's career?
Right? Yeah. Does this lead to a downfall of some sort? Was it good that she waited until she was older to like be in something as intense? Yeah, I mean, and of course, at the end of the day, Jamie Lee is going to take her career for what it is. Now she's one of the most beloved people in the entire industry, and is now an Oscar winner, and is like one of the faces of horror. So, yeah, I think she's good.
She's, yeah.
I think she's doing all right. Like more people are going to immediately know who that is over Linda Blair.
Yeah, regrettably, this was kind of, Linda Blair never really escaped The Exorcist. She tried.
Yeah.
She tried to do like movies where she was a sex symbol in her like 20s, and that was just weird to everybody.
Yeah, it's sad, man. Sad happens to young horror ladies a lot.
Yeah. I don't know I don't know who decides that. I guess it's us as the audience.
I guess. I don't know. Because I feel like Neve Campbell should have had a way cooler career. She's an example. I've always been like, she's got kind of pigeonholed. Of course, she did the same kind of like sex symbol thing, but I never saw her and I was like, fuck yeah, like that's the full potential. Like she reached the ceiling of her potential as a performer. Whereas I think we have seen that with Jamie Lee Curtis, and we didn't obviously see it with Linda Blair. It's really sad.
And also with Jamie Lee Curtis, it took like 40, 50 years.
Yeah, she's stuck with it, right? Yeah, which is why that moment last year or at the beginning of this year was so cool when she won. Like, yeah, is it one of the all-time supporting, actress wins ever? No, but it's very cool to see her get rewarded and recognized for a 5-decade like dominant career of under the radar stuff, of really cool genre stuff. There's so many things I love her in, so that was, and you're in the same boat. But there's a lot of people who couldn't name, 5 movies of hers. You know what I'm saying? So she's one of those people. There's gonna be like Halloween, Halloween 2. Like that's they have a hard time. Freaky Friday. but we're fans. We're fans.
Yeah. Trading Places, True Lies. Like, come on, give me it. Yeah.
Yeah, True Lies, dog. Yeah, True Lies is man, dark horse for like our best stuff ever.
Did you kill people? Yeah, but they were all bad. Always love that the delivery of like, kinda, yeah.
It's great, so good.
So they were pretty much like, what are we gonna do? Like, do we cast a very short grown-up actress and just act like it's a child? I'm sure they considered that. And then
wouldn't have worked.
Oh, it would have been weird as hell. Would have been like, is she like her mentally impaired sister? Like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Linda Blair showed up one day with her mother, unannounced. They didn't have an appointment for an audition. Like her mom was just like, "Hey, there's an audition happening downtown. We're going." And Linda Blair was like, she had read the book. She said she understood Regan. She talked to Friedkin. They were on the same page about what this was going to be like. He told like Linda Blair straight up, like, this is going to be rough. It's dark. You're going to have to say some things. She's like, I'm a 14-year-old girl. I say this shit all the time. He was like, do you know what masturbation is? And she's like, it's like jerking off, right? I do it, you do it. Like she was a weird kid.
She was game. She's like, do I get to speak Latin too?
What? I get to slap Ellen Burstyn? I'll take it.
Yeah, sounds good. Man.
Sometimes, the right actor just walks in at the right time. Same thing happened with Harry Potter. Like when they were casting Harry Potter, they saw thousands of young British kids and none of them had that. And then they saw a play that Daniel Radcliffe was in and they were like, holy shit, that's our Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Like it's lightning in a bottle. It's fate sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. It makes you believe that like these things are supposed to happen, they're supposed to be good, and they're supposed to live on forever.
I'm just picturing like the devil going up to God and being like, "Hey, they're kind of making a movie about me. Could you just stay out of this one?"
Yeah, I mean, you're involved, but like I am the movie.
Like you got the 10 Commandments, you got Last Temptation of Christ. Can I have this one?
Yeah, you're gonna get this weird movie called Passion of the Christ in like 40 years. Yeah, throw me a bone.
Tell you what, you give me Mel Gibson, I'll give you something else.
Oh, wonderful.
Oscar-winning actress Mercedes McCambridge voiced the demonic Regan. I didn't know that.
Neither
Or if
did
I
I.
did, I had forgotten it. And she sued for credit when she received none upon release. Friedkin wanted to go uncredited on that so that the audience thought, like, is it the devil? And she was like, fuck you, Will, give me credit.
Yeah, it's a movie, bitch. Yeah.
Yeah. I recently watched All the King's Men, and she's a prominent figure in that. And picturing that face saying, "Your mother sucks cocks in hell" is odd.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. Interesting thought.
She went full method with this. She smoked like a chimney. She started drinking again. She'd been sober for like a decade. She started drinking again to coat her throat to be able to do that.
God, man.
Like she gave up her sobriety for this.
Do you know what she did, your cunting daughter? Yeah, it's just like, oh my God. That's crazy. I love that. I respect.
Damn straight. The studio wanted Marlon Brando as Father Merrin. They were like, we want a name. We want Brando. And Friedkin was like, no.
Yeah, no. Like, no. Yeah, that'd be fucking distracting. It'd be really distracting.
The power of Christ compels
you. Yeah.
you.
Yeah. He's holding a cat. Yeah.
Can you imagine the crazy random shit he would demand on the set of this movie?
Yeah, it needed to go with someone like Max. Just perfect. He is perfect.
Well, I was reading something about another movie I was watching. I don't remember what it was, but Brando was considered for that too, and the director had said no because he said, if he's involved, this is no longer my movie. This is no longer anybody's movie. This is a Marlon Brando movie. And
yeah,
I think that was Friedkin's reasoning as well. Like he knew that he would lose complete control of this picture if Brando was involved.
Yeah, he is like Michael Jordan. It's like no one's gonna remember anything but that, or like that's the first thing everybody always mentions when they talk about that era, and like rightfully so. Like he is really that good. Marlon Brando's that good, but he doesn't need to be in everything. Like he doesn't need to be in everything. So like if you're trying to make up your own cast, you gotta be careful with that one. And I'm glad Friedkin was kind of enough of a vision to say no.
Besides, Brando had French chicks to rape in Last Tango in Paris.
Yeah, also competed at the same Oscars. So yeah.
Ugh. One of these days, I'm gonna watch that movie, and it's gonna freak me out.
Yeah, I still I just own it. I've never watched it. It's still on my shelf, and I'm like, just do it, man, pussy, just do it.
Ugh.
But yeah, I know it's gonna come with it's gonna open this massive door that I'm like, yeah, I'm not ready to go down that hallway quite yet.
Nope. So this is where Blatty and Friedkin disagreed. They wanted different actors for Merrin. Friedkin wanted Max von Sydow. Blatty wanted Paul Scofield.
Oh, that's a thought. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
I watched A Man for All Seasons recently, and I gotta say, I can see that. I can see him doing something like that.
Yeah. You like that, Man for All Seasons?
That was amazing. That was such a great movie.
That's the 66 winner?
Yeah. The story of the man who stood up to Henry VIII and paid for it.
Yeah, I need to see that. Need to check that out. I've heard that's like one of the best from that decade of winners.
Robert Shaw is Henry VIII, and it's his scariest performance. Like he'll be talking to Sir Thomas More. It's like, oh, we were such friends, and how do you like my new wife? And he'll say something like, oh, I haven't met your wife. And he'll be like, you haven't met my wife? How dare you not show me the proper tribute? Like just out of nowhere. And it's like, whoa. Jesus.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. I love Robert Shaw. I'm in.
So Friedkin won. Max von Sydow got the role, and he's the big name of the movie. He's the guy who puts asses in seats, so to speak.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a great call because it's like, what? I mean, his actual like screen time is not a lot, but it's the beginning of the movie. It's like the first like face that we're familiar with at the beginning of the movie, and then when he comes in, I mean, it's one of the best stretches of any any movie I know of is when he's back, and it's him and Karis, like fucking tag team in this thing. It is fucking epic. It's so good. He is so good. The way he's kind of explaining to Karis, like, buckle the fuck up, dude. Like, it's about to get down and dirty, my guy. It's this this ain't this ain't my first rodeo. It's a really, really cool stretch of the movie. And yeah, he is a very recognizable guy and is super distinct. But to like put him in this role where he's kind of like a heat check guy is, to me, such a cool decision.
Well, and this movie's all about him. The demon wants him. That's what this is about. He possessed Regan to draw out Marin, and he's constantly saying it throughout the movie. Like the unearthing of the demonic like effigy at the beginning sparks this whole thing. And it's crazy. He is the Exorcist that the movie's named after.
Yeah, and like some of the most famous shots of the movie, it's like it's him. It's fucking Max. It's fucking Marin. Even though he's kind of this underlying thing the whole movie. Good hour and 20 minutes of it, we don't see him. We hear of him. We know kind of like, okay, I'm like, what's at stake here? But he's like this underlying presence. And without someone as kind of distinct and as talented as Max, I don't know if it works as well.
No, and he knew that too, clearly. He brought the heat, and I think he knew that he was the, kind of the experienced, person on set, him and Lee J. Cobb, who had to, kind of be, almost a role model to these young aspiring performers in this very unpredictable, very weird set that could either completely destroy everybody's careers or catapult them into a level of superstardom they had not yet heard of.
Yeah, crazy.
Right? Yeah, nuts. Last guy that got cast was Lee J. Cobb, and that happened because Blatty and Friedkin randomly ran into the guy at a play they were seeing. He happened to be there, and they're like, hey, do you want to play the cop in our demon movie? And he was like, all right.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe that story because, again, I mentioned earlier, like, Lee J. Cobb does not need to do what he's doing. It could be kind of a throwaway role. It could be one of those where, like, it could be, say it's just some guy that like is kind of unheard of and like never really did anything. And like now we watch the movie. The movie's still great, but you're kind of like, man, what if they would have cast, so and so or so and so as the cop? But they got Lee J. Cobb, who is one of my favorite like freak out actors ever. Just like fucking lose his mind in a split second. In some amazing movies, been around some amazing casts, been around some amazing directors. He brings a veteran presence that is like, I got this. Like, I got this. I can do this shit in my sleep, and it's beautiful to watch. I've never had appreciated him in this particular movie as much as I did this time around rewatching it. I was like, man, he does not need to be this good. Like, he could just kind of like, fuck it, like whatever. But instead, you leave the movie kind of like, everybody was perfect. Every single motherfucker in this movie down the line was perfect.
Well, with Cobb especially, we did this movie a long time ago on the original Filmgazm podcast.
Long time ago.
Yeah,
oh boy. I don't remember when was I on it?
It was you. Yeah, it was when it was just me and you. It was back then. Here, yeah. I'm going to find the exact date because I'm curious.
Yeah, I'll guess. Let's see, what's my guess? Sometime in 2019, probably 4 years ago.
It was episode 52. The original podcast. I don't have the date because our website's being a dick, but it is episode 52. So that was 2019, or no, that had to have been early 2020.
Well, I can find out because you can find out if you go to Filmgazm on Spotify. You can go up to the top and search.
Oh.
So I'm gonna find out right now. Exorcist. No. This is an original. So there's the Exorcist 3. See, I remember doing that. Oh, fucking love that movie. Wow. February 19th, 2020.
Ah! Wow.
So at the very beginning of, and I was on it.
Yeah,
I don't remember. in
between that episode and this episode, we learned about Lee J. Cobb when we watched On the Waterfront and 12 Angry Men for Oscar Sunday. So back then I was like, who's the chubby guy playing the cop? Now I'm like, oh shit, it's juror number 8.
Yeah, juror number 8 is my favorite. He's my favorite juror in 12 Angry Men, and he is a bastard in On the Waterfront, an absolute bastard. Yeah. And I'm like, I love it. I love every second of it.
Yeah. Doing the work reinforces the rest of the work. I love that. It's my favorite thing about watching movies is I can talk about more the more I watch.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. It's a never-ending giant puzzle that you're never going to finish. So you keep adding pieces, even if it's a tiny piece. Or in the case of Lee J. Cobb, you're adding a pretty big piece. So that's pretty important. You want to pay attention where you're putting that piece.
Yeah. Damn straight. So before we get into our categories, I do want to talk about the actual production, the set, and the fucking wacky. How the hell did he get away with this shit? Stuff that Friedkin was doing to his actors.
Yes.
He wanted genuine reaction, and the way you do that is you scare the shit out of the people who are working for you. For example, the guy who plays Father Dyer when he's administering last rites to Karras at the end of the movie, Friedkin didn't like his performance, thought he wasn't good enough, so he slapped the guy across the face to generate a solemn yet shaken reaction. And a lot of Catholic crew members were very offended by this. Apparently, if you just dress up as a priest, you shouldn't be slapped. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever.
He also had a gun on set that he would randomly fire. They were blanks, thankfully, but he wanted Jason Miller to act shocked, so he would be like, action, boom, and just fire a gun. Miller would be like, the power of Christ compels you.
Yeah.
And Miller had to be like, dude, I can act shocked. You don't need the gun. Also the vomit, which was porridge that was dyed green. Miller was told that it was going to hit him in the chest, and that's how they rehearsed it. And then when the cameras were rolling, that shit got blasted right in his face. His reaction was very much like, like in the movie, he's disgusted because yeah. And then as soon as cut was yelled, he went up to Freak and was like, "What the fuck, man? You're supposed to hit my chest. You drowned me in green porridge, you son of a bitch."
Yeah. This is we've talked about, like the Kubricks of the world. This is like what they did in the 60s and 70s to just get shit moving, It's fucking insane. It obviously can't happen today, so it's fascinating to read about.
Yeah. What is MGM's motto again? It's artis gratia artis. Art for art's sake. God, was that never more true than the 1970s?
Yeah, no kidding. Good Lord.
So the reception of this film was crazy. People had never seen anything like this. A lot of people thought it was real. So Linda Blair had to be protected. She got a lot of death threats from hardcore Christians who thought that she was the devil and she had to die. Warner Brothers gave her armed security guards for 6 months after the release of the film. Can you believe that shit?
God, dude. See, that's I was alluding to earlier. Is that worth casting a child? Is that? Of course, the movie has lived on and lived past that stuff, and we've seen people go for it with horror. Like, we've seen some nasty shit since then, for nasty's sake, right? Yeah. Body horror, torture porn, all this like crazy stuff that now has become a part of the genre. But in that time, when people took things so literally, and is it worth it? Like, is it worth it to cast this 13, 14-year-old girl to deal with the aftermath of like death threats? Like, I don't know. It's hard to answer because you don't know what's coming, right? Like, Friedkin's not like thinking about, oh, she's gonna get death threats after this movie. But something to that extent has to cross your mind. You know what I mean? Religious people are they do not back down. They do not back down from what they believe is true.
That's true, but I don't think it's Friedkin or Blair's responsibility to kowtow to those psychos.
It's not there. It's not on them. No, it's not.
It's, I think, people. I'm not saying all religious people are crazy, but most crazies are religious.
Yeah.
And I think that, people who can't blur the line between fact and fiction are already unstable. And regardless of what they watch, they're going to latch on to something. So if it's not The Exorcist, it's going to be Taxi Driver, or it's going to be, anything else. So I don't think I never have ever in any situation blamed the film or the director or the stars. It's people watching it and how they interpret art. And some people interpret art in a very dangerous way.
Yeah, what did we just talk about? Like we had a discussion similar to this like not that long ago. I'm struggling to remember what episode it was, but I think it was you, Adam, and I talking about kind of like, do you blame people? Or no, it might have been me listening in my.
That was Django. That was Django.
Yeah. It was. You asked about violence in movies because of Tarantino's, like that's one of his signatures or whatever, and yeah, I mean, I agreed with kind of everything you guys said. Y'all had your own points, but it was under the same, under the same column of like, look, like entertainment's entertainment. It's not on Tarantino that somebody took this and was like, oh, I'm going to go be violent myself, which is why like some of the comments that I love that you brought up Taxi Driver. Some of the comments that Scorsese has had to make about that movie are like really sad, because he's like, this is kind of sad how many real Travis Bickles there are there within the past 50 years after that movie came out. He's like, that's not my intention. My intention was very much to be like, look at this insane guy. Look at the way, society treats him. And, it's kind of just a character study. But then in real life, there's those fuckers all over the place, and that's sad that people can't, just enjoy something or not take it so fucking literally. It's just sad. It's like, how do you enjoy anything, dude? Like if everything's that, you take everything at face value, it's like, man, I can't imagine.
Yeah. And you can either, acknowledge your role in that if you believe you have one as a filmmaker, or you can take the Tarantino route and be like, fuck you, not my problem. I'm going to blow some shit up, which I respect.
I do too. Yeah. It's a tough conversation. And it's not Friedkin's fault that any of this happened. It is, like you said, people's perception and how they interpret things. Like if you go see a movie in the fucking theater and you take it to be true that like this actress Linda Blair is playing this girl who's possessed by this demon, and if you're like, yeah, this is real life, that's your fault. That is totally your fault. And honestly, if you're into that stuff, if you're into religion, don't fucking see the movie. You don't have to buy the goddamn ticket. We just talked about last week with Whiplash. If someone's like, I don't want to see this, it's gonna make me fucking anxious as shit, don't go. It's totally fine. Nothing wrong with that at all. Skipping out a movie, nothing wrong with it. I'll never blame anybody for being like, not for me. It's okay. I feel the same way about some stuff.
Yeah. If your mama never taught you about moving pictures and you think everything that comes out of the magic box is real, you need help. Find it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And again, nothing did happen with The Exorcist. Like nobody tried to attack Linda Blair, but she did get a lot of threats.
And that sucks, to be a teenager and to have to receive that kind of shit while you're just trying to like walk down the street is to get a fucking sandwich is sad.
Well, in a very twisted, parallel, I mean, that's kind of celebrity in America. Even if you didn't play the devil, some Yahoo out there is going to think that, they're in love with you and you're in love with them, or, they need to kill you to release your fucking Thetan or whatever the fuck. Like, those people are out there. I don't think there's any celebrity ever who hasn't had at least one crazy threaten them in some way.
Yeah. You watched Perfect Blue recently, right?
Oh, yes, yeah. I did.
Isn't that great? Isn't that a great take on some of this kind of stuff, man, like fuck. it's, it's wild. No, I'm with you. I think it's the way we treat famous people is fucking bonkers. You know, of course, you and I, of course, really, really appreciate the art. But if I see Brad Pitt on the street, hopefully, like I'll get to shake his hand, but I'm not going to be like, Tyler Durden changed my life, you know, like proclaim my like love or adoration for him. He's Brad. He's a dude. You know, he's a dude. He's like got the same blood that I do. You know what I mean? He's going to die one day, just like I am, and I really appreciate him for what he's done, but I'm not gonna freak out. I can't stand that. I can't stand when people just like lose their mind when they see a famous person. It's sad.
Well, it's also weird that like we just assume this friendship.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And so when people are like, oh, that athlete or that actor was a dick, it's like maybe you were being a dick. you know, like there's nothing wrong with like a celebrity being an asshole. They had a day too, you know. Maybe they were dealing with a death in the family, or maybe they were dealing with this or that. You just never fucking know. So don't always, yeah. I love that. That's a good point. Like assuming like we're buddies. I've seen Fight Club. You know, it's not true. It's just not true.
90% of them are often dealing with a divorce. So yeah, they're usually not in a very good mood.
Yeah, yeah. Dealing with whatever the thing is that's happening in the media that, you know, during that time. Yeah, it's not a life I want. No, thank you.
No. Regardless, The Exorcist was an insanely huge hit. It grossed $428 million on a budget of only $12 million. Friedkin did this with $12 million.
Yeah.
Adjusted for inflation, The Exorcist is the 9th highest grossing film of all time with $1.2 billion gross, adjusted for inflation.
The most successful horror movie ever.
Yep, bar none.
I mean, and it's great. It's great for so many reasons. You know, this is the one year. I think this is the one year. There might be a couple since then, but I know American Graffiti, The Sting, and The Exorcist are the 3 most successful 1973 movies, all up for Best Picture. I'm like, what a time. You know, what a fucking time to be alive, right? You know, when the 70s winners and some of the nominees around them were actually really fucking good and made a lot of money.
I miss the days when blockbusters and original films were the same movies.
Yeah. Whereas like now, if a director who has his own vision and wants to do his own thing, it's all like indie, you know, or you know, independent filmmaking. It can't just be, what about like this guy just wants to tell this really amazing story? You know, like I don't know. I it's annoying. It's annoying. You know, everything's so fucking black and white now. It feels like 70s are filled with a lot of gems, and that's because they're given a budget. You got a vision. You hire your own cast. Go for it.
Yeah, so simple. The film spawned 5 sequels, a short-lived TV spin-off, and a legacy that speaks for itself. It is one of the first true horror films to storm the Oscars. It was nominated for 10 Oscars at the 46th Academy Awards. It won 2, Best Adapted Screenplay and Best Sound. It was up for Best Picture, Best Actress for Ellen Burstyn, Best Supporting Actor for Jason Miller, Best Supporting Actress for Linda Blair, Best Director, Best Art Direction, Best Film Editing, and Best Cinematography. Yeah, I can't believe Linda Blair lost. I really can't.
That's a tough beat, right? You know, I haven't seen a lot of movies from this year, and what's really funny is who they lose to. Who Linda Blair loses to is Tatum O'Neal and Paper Moon, which is like, really? Like those two had to be the same year, motherfuck. You know, that sucks. Paper Moon is lights out. Tatum O'Neal is lights out. It's like such a crazy, crazy competition. Also, Madeline Kahn was up for Paper Moon. That movie is one of the best from the year. Cannot believe it wasn't up for Best Picture. That's like mind-boggling to me. But yeah, man. I mean, these acting categories are fucking loaded. Like loaded with incredible actors, great movies. It's one of those things where popular was prestige.
Yeah, good times. Wish I'd been there.
Me too. Anytime anybody asks me, I wish I would have been born in like 50 something, so I could have lived like my young years through the 70s and like been a part of this.
Yeah, for sure. I did watch the Sting Best Picture winner that defeated The Exorcist, and I liked it, but it would have been so cool if The Exorcist took Best Picture that year.
Yeah, Sting absolutely dominated. As far as winning, I think it won like 6 or something.
Yeah,
Um,
7.
7, yeah, yeah, it's insane. Just doesn't happen very often. To get above 5 really is like unprecedented. It's like a really big deal. And George Roy Hill for director, I get it. I love The Sting to death. I think it's amazing. I hadn't seen it in a long time, and I watched it the other night. Man, this movie is really good. I kind of forgot because I am definitely camp. I prefer The Exorcist as like my own thing goes, but I do understand why maybe there was hesitancy from some people voting. You
Mhm.
know, like, do I want to be the guy who sides with the fucking devil movie? Or do I want to go with Paul Newman and Robert Redford? Fucking conning Robert Shaw. Yeah, it's like that's tough. That's a tough thing. But I haven't. American Graffiti. I like it. I'm not crazy about it. I like what it did for Hollywood. I like what it did for a lot of movies that I love. The hangout, drive around, the drive around the town, like different little things happening. Very, very Dazed Confused type storytelling. I love that what it did for the future. And I love I love the different people involved, and like some of the stories around American Graffiti are fascinating. Cries and Whispers, admittedly, I watched 30 minutes of it, kind of ran out of time. I was going to try to watch it before this episode. Time just kind of escaped me. What I saw was really good. That's Ingmar Bergman, doing his thing. And I have not seen any of A Touch of Class. So one day, if we're going to do this thing proper, that's when we can do like a old school Best Picture showdown and like kind of center everything around the Sting and like talk about how that movie got into place and talk about the Oscars more with that episode. But you have to mention it's one of its coolest attributes. The Exorcist is crashing the Oscars. This hardcore horror movie. So it's pretty rare.
Yeah, has not happened a lot. I mean, there's been, some horror movies have gotten big wins, big nominations, but on this level, I think like Get Out and Jaws are the only other two that come to mind, really.
Yeah, Get Out certainly stormed slates. Like they came in and winning screenplay, giving up for Best Picture, Jordan Peele, like all that stuff is so cool. And
of
definitely
course, Silence of the Lambs as well, obviously.
Sounds like I was winning the Big Five. I was going to say that. I think that might be its greatest feat, like as a genre, is winning the Big Five. Just it literally doesn't happen. It probably will never happen again. But and Jaws really was only up for like a few. Like it was up for Best Pick, but like it wasn't. It didn't have. I mean, 10 nominations is like holy shit. Like the year after, I think Chinatown gets 9 and only wins 1. Like that's a crazy territory to be, is to get 8, 9, 10 nominations. It's like wow, like, and you're not like a Oscar baity movie. That's really cool. That's why I love the 70s Oscars so much. Is that did happen a lot. Like The Omen was up for stuff. Like, you know what I mean? It was a really cool time for, again, prestige to meet, box office to meet, Oscars to popular. It all kind of was like at a perfect, in American cinema mostly, it was at this perfect like meshing point.
Yeah, I spoke at the beginning of the episode about, the trifecta of devil movie with Exorcist, Omen, and Rosemary. All three also were Oscar darlings that all took home statues. So
yeah,
it was like signifying of a change in landscape that really took hold in the late 70s, especially once Wes Craven showed up with his demented fucking movies.
Yeah. True.
How much rape can you handle? Because I've got plenty.
Yeah.
Jesus, man.
Yeah. Yikes.
The Exorcist has an IMDb score of 8.1, surprisingly low Rotten Tomatoes score of 78%, and an audience score of 87%, which makes way more sense.
Yeah. 78 is like, really? I mean, we've done a lot, obviously a ton of movies on this, but that's one of the scores that's always always surprised me. It's like I don't really give a fuck what they think, but it is kind of like really like last week when we did Whiplash, they had a 94 and a 94 audience, and it's like, huh. I mean, I love Whiplash. I like, it's one of my favorite movies ever, but can The Exorcist get like an 80? Can we like move that up to a B, not a C? It's a C plus essentially.
Yeah.
Essentially they were like, yeah, you pass like a little bit,
Yeah.
because a
You,
70 is a passing grade, and 78 is like, yeah, you're fine. You're all right. Yeah.
you pass the class, but you're not on the honor roll.
Oh no. Yeah, you're gonna get into like the shitty school. No, you're not getting to a proper massive university.
Yeah. You got this has community college degree written all over it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
I
a great
felt
way of
bad
putting it.
saying that.
No, it's true. It's true. If you have a bunch of if you're a high school student, you got a bunch of C pluses. Sorry, man, you're going to SAC. you know, uh, you're going to San Antonio Community College. That's the way it's got to be.
Oh,
But if you have a bunch of 87s, now we can start talking about some real schools.
oh boy. Critics' consensus reads The Exorcist rides its supernatural theme to magical effect with remarkable special effects and an eerie atmosphere, resulting in one of the scariest films of all time. It's currently streaming on Max. And I really think we got to stop saying that about everything. Scariest film of all time. That creates an impossible standard that no movie can live up to.
Yeah, no, it's not happening. Do I know anybody who thinks that The Exorcist is like, weak? No, I don't. It's pretty consistent across the board. Like, yeah, that's a damn good movie, and it's got some great, scary bits. But yeah, how can one individual who it's impossible to see every movie anyway? How can you make that statement? How can you do that?
And we've spoken at length about how subjective this medium is. The scariest film I've ever seen is a 2001 sci-fi comedy about two professors hunting aliens. It's not even a horror movie, and that scared me harder than anything I've ever seen. So scariest film of all time is completely subjective and could be anything.
Correct. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, in this case, yeah, they're mostly right, but the legacy has kind of backed that up.
Oh yeah, no, it's 50 years, man. 50 years is a long motherfucking time to be on top.
Yep. With that, let's talk about this film. So we've spoken in our previous episodes about replacing the awards with more of a fluid conversation about 4 tenets of film that we think make a film work: scene, performance, music, and dialogue. And so we're just going to talk about those 4 elements here. Where do you want to start?
That's tough. Let's see, like, what makes the most sense to get out of the way. We're not stepping on other stuff too much. I mean, if you want, we can kick this thing off proper and do performance, man, because that one's to me the most difficult.
All right, I'm in. Let's do it.
Who do you got? Or I guess let's name the key players we've already talked about. Of course, Ellen Burstyn and Jason Miller, Max von Sydow, Linda Blair, Lee J. Cobb. To me, those 5 are like fucking good in this movie. But it's almost like a personality test. Which one do you think is the best or your favorite?
I gotta give it to Linda Blair. It's a performance that makes or breaks the movie, and she commits to a level that I didn't think a child actor was able to do. So props, Linda Blair. I don't like that she never really had much of a career outside of this movie, because she's an amazing actress who really doesn't have a lot of opportunity to show it off.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. If you're picking like what's the most, like, who's the MVP, it's got to be Linda Blair. She wins the movie because, I mean, look how fucking crazy people reacted afterwards. Like, she clearly had a major impact on what's going on. It's hard to argue with the glue of the film. So it's hard to argue with that. But like, I think my favorite, the one that always just kind of like, damn, is Jason Miller. It's like, why? Like, well, there's something about him that I just believe every, like, the way he walks, the way, like, especially when he's just, I love people questioning their faith. I fucking love that as a character, archetype, like a guy who's who's been through it a good amount of his life, but is at a point where it's like, okay, I'm either doing this until I'm, for another 30 years and I'm dead, or I'm going to stop. And he's certainly at a crossroads. And I love the scenes of him kind of like drinking and just kind of like, man, like what is all this, And that's where like faith obviously comes into play, is that you either have like it's strong enough in you to keep going, or like him where he's kind of like on the fence most of the movie. So I just always thought Jason Miller as Damian Karras is just a really strong and necessary and subtle like performance. So I've always been really into him, but you can't go wrong here, man. This cast is lights out.
Jason Miller is great. He's our hero. He's a reluctant hero. He's dealing with his own shit. He doesn't believe in this. He goes in thinking she's faking this, and there's something psychological at hand here. And it takes a lot for him to realize, like, maybe I need some help here.
Yeah.
And in the end, he is the one who gives his life to save this girl. And I love that. His arc is so good. It's so well written. You're endeared to this guy from the start. And yeah, Miller sells it. It's just kind of it's hard to relate to a religious character for me, especially like a priest. But there's something so humanizing about this guy that you feel for him.
Exactly. Great way of putting it. Jason Miller, whatever he's doing, he's giving off an energy that makes you want to understand him, makes you want to like to get inside of his head. And yeah, his arc, I mean, obviously his destination is rough, straight down those fucking stairs. But I mean, he's the sacrifice. He is the sacrifice. He's, this demon totally takes something with him. You know what I mean? I mean, it's not a win-win scenario at the end of this movie. No way.
Well, especially if you watch 3 and you realize he's been in agony for like 20 years.
Yeah. 3. I think that's one of the reasons I love 3 too. Is it has that lore about it and that kind of like, oh man, like, well, yeah. I mean, sacrifice, sure, in the first movie, but sacrifice for what? Like eternal hell? Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about Ellen Burstyn.
Yeah, let's do it. Is this one of the better ones too? Alice doesn't live here anymore. Is the year after? I mean, good lord.
To me, I love this. I love Alice, but her career Requiem. Yes.
Yeah. She's nominated for that one. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, good lord. Oh.
That movie scares the fuck out of me. I've only seen it once because it's just I don't want to go back in there.
It's rough. It is a rough movie. It's, to me, easily the best thing Aronofsky's done. Like, that is a freaky fucking movie. Freaky good. One of the best drug induced and drug addiction movies of all time, in my opinion. Yeah, it's great. And she's maybe the best performer in the whole thing.
Yeah. But as Chris McNeil, this diva actress who's kind of a bitch to the help, who has her daughter going through absolute hell, an impossible nightmare that no parent could prepare for. And she's trying to figure out, like, there's got to be a medical explanation for what's happening to my daughter. And all the doctors are like, there is, but we couldn't tell you what it is. And just so, like 50 doctors, and they're all like, fuck if I know. But they won't tell her that. No doctor will just say, we don't know. They all are like, well, there's this and there's that and there's this, but your daughter doesn't have any of those, so I don't know why I'm talking about it. Her getting more and more exasperated and terrified and broken over the course of this movie as she realizes she almost is coming to terms with the fact that she's going to lose Regan. Like, she's prepared to deal with the loss of a child. And then Karras and Marin rock up like fucking Batman and Robin and fix this shit. But I love Ellen Burstyn as just a parent holding it together as best she can. And, you see through the cracks, you see it, you see the facade crumbling, and there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing she can do about it. She's completely helpless in this movie, but it's such a commanding, strong performance. She's kind of our anchor to the real world.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. That's like really, really well said, I think. And without bursting, and again goes back to the casting of it, like what a cool thing that happened where this is kind of how she gets boom, like man, she's got such a distinct look. Especially now, I love, at the time it's probably different, but like our perception now, watching her, I love watching really talented actresses, specifically women, specifically actresses, play an actress in a movie. It's like one of the like, I don't know, like most kind of telling things. I think it's like a good test for like just how like how much they understand, like what it is they do, how annoying it can be, how annoying they can be. It's like it's such a powerful thing, and I think she just fucking lights it up, just knocks it out of the park. There's that one scene that I think for me is like just the expression and the delivery when she's like talking to Karis on that bench, and she's like, "Jesus Christ, will somebody just help me?" Like that like I need Jesus' help, but I'm taking his name in vain right now. It's like one of those like very human moments, like for the love of God, like anyone, like I don't give a shit. Like I need real help. I don't need these doctors who are just like you said, kind of fucking giving me the runaround. I need like God people. Like I need soldiers out here, and it's such a powerful scene. And she's got the look, man. She's got that ghostly, like, woof, like my life is her daughter's so important to her, and it's that kind of like blank, like what the fuck is going on. And I love the whole kind of where's the dad at, the conversation she has on the phone where she's screaming, I've been on hold for fucking 20 minutes, da da da. Like I love like all of that kind of storytelling without really having to tell you, without really having to spoon feed you. You understand that this is not a good relationship, and the father is absent. And it's great stuff because it shows how much she cares about her daughter even more, like she's the sole parent. She's just excellent. So you can't go wrong there. You can't go wrong with Lee J. Cobb again, just kind of bringing the heat, and you can't go wrong with Max von Sydow.
Max von Sydow just has this. I mean, he's only 44 here. He's wearing
which is crazy.
Yeah. But he has this commandment of the screen where you just like, if you told me that guy was like, like an angel sent down by God to handle this shit, I'd be like, okay, yeah, I see that. I believe you.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. This is not the first time he has conquered evil.
Yeah.
Which is a crazy fucking thing to have on your resume. Like, oh, this is just Tuesday. I need a purple stole. I need your big Bible. Get some holy water. Meet me upstairs. Like,
excellent. Excellent stuff. Yeah. God, he's good. When they're like getting dressed, I mean, it's like you're watching two guys about to go play, play a game of some sort. They're getting warmed up, like lace up their shoes. It's fucking crazy. But you're so like committed as a viewer, like, oh, this is so serious. But the way they're doing it feels like athletic almost. It's really cool.
Yeah, they're lacing up the gloves. They're getting ready to go 11 rounds with the devil.
Mm-hmm. Taking breaks. Yeah, they're like, all right, let's fucking cool out, get something to eat, or to come back for rounds, 8 through 11 to fucking knock this thing out. It's crazy.
This was the first watch where I really realized like they are so ineffective. Like they aren't doing anything. This thing was going to win before Karis was like, take me instead. Don't let the girl go. And the demon was like, yeah, you're probably tastier because you're a man of God. That was this thing was going to totally win. It had already killed Marin. Like that was it.
Yeah. It took Marin down. And yeah, you're tastier. You got a little more spirits in you. Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, great deal. And obviously, that's kind of what this demon's after. This whole time is like to just fucking take the hearts of these people who think that their God is stronger than the battle, like the ultimate war, the like spiritual warfare of demon, devil, however you want to label it, against God.
Yeah,
who wins? Who wins?
To quote the late great George Carlin, "My God has a bigger dick than your God."
Yeah.
That's the entire religious problem in mankind's history right there.
It is
summed up in one sentence.
Just a bunch of dick measuring. Yeah. And the devil's like, what about balls? Yeah, I got the ball. Like, yeah, you guys can argue about, you can dick measure, but like, who's got the balls to really do something about it? Oh, it's just fucked.
Oh my god, the visual you just gave me
Yeah.
is gonna stay with me for the rest of my life.
You've seen This Is the End, like with Jonah Hill and Seth Rogen, all them.
Yes.
Is it compelling? Is it compelling me? Yeah. Jonah Hill's so good in that movie. Is it, Jay? Is it compelling? It's fucked up, but it's great.
Jesus Christ, that's yeah. Oh, yeah, fantastic cast. So yeah, everyone's amazing, but I think if we had to pick an MVP here, it's Linda Blair.
It definitely is Linda Blair, and my like personal favorite after that is probably Jason Miller. But yeah, you can't. I mean, I'm not going to argue with anyone with those five specifically. Everybody's great. Yeah, what do you want to do next?
Let's do music because there's not a lot of music to talk about. There's pretty much just Mike Oldfield's Tubular Bells.
Yeah, which is why I went with something I don't think I quite realized, or it's when Jason Miller's going to that bar like towards the beginning of the movie. Father Karras and Ramblin' Man's playing in the background.
Yeah.
Like, what a cool touch, like what a cool little touch. I think I probably like heard it before, but like, when you're doing these, you're about to do some categories on the pod. You're like, I want to find something like unique that I haven't seen before, that I haven't paid attention to before or like digested. So I thought that was like a really cool touch. It's great to see, this guy just having a pint, having a little, having some beer. He's at the place with all the people, smoking cigarettes, and again, this goes back to your point. Like, Jason Miller does something to this character that no one has ever done in a movie that is a priest, where you like really feel the human side of him. And I think Ramblin' Man specifically, obviously great song by the Allman Brothers, but that song specifically, it's kind of talking about him. It's a little on the nose, but it works just right for me.
Yeah, it's a perfect, just guy at a crossroads song.
Yeah, just a dude. A dude. Yeah, it's a 30 to 40, 50-year-old like guy going through kind of like a half, quarter of half, midlife crisis, whatever. It's happening to him.
Yeah. Priests, especially in horror movies, are seen as, these figures of, moral decency, of, in like unshakable faith. They're like the, literal deus ex machinas most of the time. To have, to portray a priest as another flawed human swept up in this crazy shit is a really smart move.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Using the Allman Brothers to just tell us like, hey, he's important.
Yeah.
I like that.
This is a guy you want to watch. Yeah. Yeah. It's great. It's good stuff. What about you? So yeah, you did mention just before the score is very, very effective, but it's not, it doesn't have this insane, what's the word? Like, it doesn't have this insane volume to it.
It's really just the one bit, and it's only in the movie twice. And it's called Tubular Bells by Mike Oldfield. It's when you picture The Exorcist, it's the music you hear.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so creepy and unnerving and just ominous, and really kind of makes you think the devil's going to win this one. When they dropped the trailer for the new movie, The Exorcist Believer, they didn't tell anybody they were going to drop the Exorcist trailer. They just played a trailer for a movie that had come out. I started watching, and I'm like, oh, exorcism movie coming out. And then you start hearing the piano, and I'm like, no. And then I hear the piano again, and I'm like, oh shit. Yeah, that's how they told you, like, yep, Pazuzu's back, bitches.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I got excited. I don't know if the movie's going to be any good, but that music got me fucking pumped. And I was like, oh my God, The Exorcist is back.
I too, I can't remember what movie I saw where like that trailer came on, but Brianna, I like looked at her and I was like, fuck yes. It doesn't matter. It probably won't be very good. I don't care. Like, that trailer, that's like the impact. That's like the impact that music has. Very, very similar to when I first saw the 2018 Halloween trailer, where I was like, "Are you kidding me?" but that movie is actually good. Especially that first one, that first 2018 one, I thought was like fucking awesome as shit. It's my probably my second favorite Halloween movie ever. So it's possible, right? It's possible. But the point is that part, piece of music so strong and so impactful that kind of, even if it's during a trailer that you don't really care for, you still get amped up. It's cool.
Music is slowly starting to become my favorite element of filmmaking.
You don't. I mean, I hate to say it on a movie podcast, but like music's way more important than movies. I mean, way more to the human experience. Like it's music's just fucking huge. The access we have to it, the insane vastness of it, and the emotions that like it invokes is crazy. I mean, think about how many movies you like rely on that music to give you cues for like what's about to happen, what's going to happen. Yeah, it's the most important art form ever. Like it's is music is playing. I mean, it's the most like human. Me and you can not know each other, not be able to speak to each other. But if I go on like the bongos, boom, 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 you're like, oh, like I see what he's doing. We might not ever even speak to one another, but like that is like it's the universal language. It's music. You know what I mean? Two barbarians, me and Connor, just like.
I love a scenario where like me and you don't know each other, we have not spoken, and there's just a set of bongos in like an empty room.
That's it. Yeah.
And you are using those solely to communicate. And I don't know. I'd probably be like kind of weirded out a little bit at first. Like,
yeah,
what's going on here? I can do it.
Yeah, and then you go la, and I'm like that's cool as shit. Imagine the fucking like cavemen, and they're like once they started like putting sounds together, wow, just the power that it has, and what we've taken it to now, how insane music. Some of it's like fucking god awful, but the lengths we've taken it is so cool, and it's really cool that you and I can listen to a Japanese rock band or some pop singer from Mexico, and it still has that same impact of like I feel something. No idea what they're saying, but I can feel it. I have an idea of what they're saying. You know what I mean? It's fucking cool as shit.
Yeah, there's songs that I don't care for, and then I'll hear them in a film in a certain context, and I'll be like, that's fucking awesome. And then I'll like the song. That happens to me a lot.
Yep. Oh, dude. Like nobody's business. Yeah. If someone uses that song, my favorite example is I hear that fucking song, This Is the Rhythm of the Night at HEB every goddamn day. And I've worked there for a long time now. But one day I was watching Beau Travail, the French film, and that song plays in like a huge moment. And I was like, you know what? I love this song. I've hated it for years, and here I am now. I listen to it in the car sometimes. I'm like, I love this song because of that moment, how crucial it was in that movie, and how out of left field it was. And now here I am. So you can hate something and turn around and love it. That's cool.
That is, yeah, that's neat. That happened to me with Europe's The Final Countdown when I watched Arrested Development.
Dude, same, ditto. Yeah. Yes, I thought that song was so fucking annoying. And then when you hear it the right way, you're like, this is pretty good.
It's an illusion, Michael. A trick is something a whore does for money.
God, what a great show.
Fantastic. All right, let's go to dialogue. This script is intense and pretty unforgiving. Does not shy away from its very hard R, almost X. Took a while to get Friedkin an R rating. One of my favorite lines just out the gate from like when shit starts getting real is when Regan turns her head completely around and says in the voice of Burke, "Do you know what she did, your cunting daughter?"
Yeah.
Like, fuck in hell. And then that's like another doctor visit. That's not straight to the priest.
Yeah. The head turning around is like such an iconic thing that's been parodied like to no end. But it's freaky. It's fucking freaky.
I have tried whenever I've introduced some family, some friends to this movie, and every time I always try to throw out a fake bit of trivia where I'm like, Linda Blair trained 3 months to learn how to do that.
to turn her head.
One day I'm gonna get somebody. Every time they've been like, bullshit, shut up. But one day they're gonna be like, what, really?
Oh dear.
And it's gonna be worth it.
And then they're gonna in turn like figure out, they're gonna like try to do it. Yeah.
I hope I get like, a chain of like 14, 15 people believing that nonsense before it comes back to me.
Yeah. God, man. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
What other lines stuck out to you?
Yeah, this is one of those, goes back to kind of the beginning of this episode where we're talking about like, is this stuff real or not? This line from Father Marin has just always stuck with me. It's always been one of my favorites. Love the delivery of it. I love the context around it. I love just taking it as a paragraph and kind of like, the ball's in your court. The choice is yours. It's one of those things where even in what he's saying, he's going back and forth. This is real as it gets, and also it's a lie. And to me, it's one of the most iconic lines in horror history. So Father Marin says, "It's especially important is the warning to avoid conversations with the demon. We may ask what is relevant, but anything beyond that is dangerous. He is a liar. The demon is a liar. He'll continue to confuse us, but he will also mix lies with the truth to attack us. The attack is psychological, Damien, and very powerful. So don't listen to him. Remember that. Do not listen." Oh man, and like if, you put yourself in the shoes of Karras and you're like, what? what? Don't listen. Don't, how can you not listen when it's calling you out, calling you like a bad son, calling you a, faithless slime, like a cocksucker, it's just cutting as deep as it can. As a human, it is impossible to not react, and that is what Marin's like, dude, like, please, like, remember, it's kind of like when someone, if you take some drugs, remember you're on drugs, kids, like, it's kind of like that, but to the nth degree, to the most extreme heaven and hell scary degree. And I'm like, who can handle that? Who can handle being told that? I'm like, all right, now let's go in the door. Like, that is like one of the craziest things to talk about before going into this room to try to exercise this thing. It's fucking scary. That to me, all of the stuff with Linda Blair, all of the stuff with Regan, all this stuff, with Pazuzu, obviously very frightening. But what's frightening the most is the dialogue. It's like the space between the notes. It's how serious they take it, and how serious we as viewers take it because they do. It's those moments of great acting, great delivery, great screenplay, great story from P. Blatty. So all those things combined, which is why it makes, to me, one of the best horror movies ever.
Yeah, like every other great story, it starts on the page. And
yep,
genre comes later. What you're crafting first is a good story.
Yeah.
I watched this with my mom on this viewing, and she pointed out something I never really thought about. I pointed out that they're kind of ineffective, and she pointed out the reason for that is likely because they're going in there half-cocked, because only Marin truly believes they can save her. Karras is already shaken. It's like it's like you're snorkeling with a broken tube.
Correct. Yeah, great way of putting it.
Yeah, like there's no way to win here because Karras, like, until Karras finally does make that sacrifice, they can't win. It takes that moment of, giving yourself to God to destroy this thing.
To the cause. Yeah. It's no, it's totally true. It's a great observation on like what's going on here, because Marin's not the one who's being called a faithless slime. Marin's like, I'm in it, baby. Like this is I live and die by this. Like this is my purpose. This is what I do. I've seen the realest shit you could even imagine. But Karras is the one who's like, I don't know, man. Kind of seems like bullshit. Even that first meeting that Karras has with Regan, like if you're the devil, then why can't you undo the straps yourself? Like kind of teasing it, kind of like, yeah, this is poor shit. This is all psychological. There's nothing real here. but like those things, like those scenes, that they matter in the end because yeah, you, like your mom said, she's kind of half. They're like halfway there. They're about, I'd say, if Marin counts for 50 full percent, Karis is like 20, 25. They're not there. They're not 100. And if you're not at 100, that thing's taking you down.
No, he's going in there, A, not fully believing in Christ, B, dealing with the death of his mother and feeling a lot of guilt on that. He is not ready for this. He's not.
No, no.
But they have no other choice. They don't have enough time.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like Marin's like, fucking A, I gotta deal with it, you know? This is fucking.
I'm an exorcist, damn it, not a babysitter.
Yeah, this fucking newbie, I gotta fucking hold his hand the whole goddamn time. Like it's just a shift, like it's a normal shift. Oh, I gotta train tonight? Fuck. He goes in like, oh, I thought it was gonna be a normal shift, normal 8-hour thing. You're like, oh, I gotta train fucking Damien. That guy's an idiot.
Oh, that takes me back.
Yeah. Love this. Love that. This movie's great.
Oh boy. I like an exchange where Karis asks Marin, like why Regan, and Marin kind of explains like the demon's motivations. He said,
Yeah.
I think the point is to make us despair, to see ourselves as animal and ugly, to make us reject the possibility that God could love us. Like demons don't want to, take over the world or, destroy God. They just want you to lose faith in yourself, they want individuals to hate themselves, to feel, hell's reach take them over, which is so much more personal and terrifying than just some like, the gates of hell opening and hell's armies marching on earth. The idea that like they're already here and that little second guessing in your head, that's the demon. That's the demon telling you you're not good enough. Like, holy shit.
God, dude. That's why we're here. It's 50 years later.
Reminds me of one of my favorite Shakespeare quotes. I think it's from The Tempest. Hell is empty and all the devils are here.
That's badass. That's a cold fucking line, man. Oh right? My God. Oh yeah. No, I worked with there's this guy, I won't, I'm not gonna say details about it, but there's this guy that I really, really, really liked. And if I saw him again today, I'd still, fucking open arms. Really cool guy. I worked with doing mission work in different parts of the world. And he just had these really strong convictions about how like real like spiritual warfare is. And he would say stuff kind of like that, kind of like a lot of Christians think that God has control of all these things. He's like, it's not true. Like Satan was winning the war. He'd always say that, like Satan's winning the war. Like, it's like, look out there, man. Like Satan's winning. Like you look around the world, look how much evil there is. Look how much just like destruction and war and like all these nasty things that shouldn't be a part of our everyday life. He's like, he's winning. He's like, which is why it's so important that you and I stay as strong as we can. To an extent, I like disagree and agree with him, right? I mean, that's valiant. There are religious people out there, valiant people out there who are trying to like fight a good fight, who are like really trying to like make a difference for what they believe to be true. I don't think it's, I'm not a, Bible believing Christian, but I do have respect for like guys like him. I still look up to him. I still am like, I love the way he thought about things. I love the way he kind of treated life, the way he treated, like how like fragile it is and how serious you should take it. I liked that. It's not how I've chosen to live my life, but I respect it. I respect the hell out of it. And so, yeah, I always hope the best for that guy. He's out there somewhere. And I lived with him for a few months and then worked with him for over a year. So got really close with him, and he's one of the most interesting minds I've ever dissected. And I was, at the time he was in his probably late 30s and I was like 17, 18. So, he had a huge impact on me at that time and still does today, just for different reasons.
Yeah. I talked about this with Isabel at length. She's a devout Catholic. So she believes really
Yeah.
strongly. And we've often had conversations about the nature of faith, and because I have none, so I don't know how that feels. I don't know what that feels like to firmly believe that good and evil are a palpable force, and that your efforts contribute to one of those two concepts is completely out of my domain. I don't feel that at all. I don't feel any spiritual connection to anything. So I always love hearing her talk about what that means to her, because it's fascinating to also to talk to somebody who's religious but also not crazy is also nice to have. I don't meet a lot of those.
Yeah, they're out there. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I don't think she's ever seen this or ever will watch it.
I wouldn't either if I were her. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't if I wanted to try to keep some of that stuff strong. And I mean, it's that good. It's that good of a story, that that powerful of a movie. And yeah, why would you expose yourself to it unless you are again a down the middle person or someone who definitely thinks this is all a hoax? It makes it a lot easier to digest for sure. I definitely understand her. For not wanting to go down that road.
Yeah.
Sucks, because it's like, man, you're missing out on some great movies, but like, that's, to her, it's not a great movie. To her, it's fucking scary.
Yeah.
To her, it's too real. Like,
yep, exactly.
So I get it.
But yeah, it's the whole faith thing is something I've always thought about. I've never like felt like I was missing something, but I've always wondered, like, how does one live their life when they believe in something that strongly? And like, what do they do differently? Like, what do they do that I don't, besides going to a big building and singing?
Yeah, that's. I mean, yeah. I think most people do just go inside of a big building and sing on Sundays, and like that's that. And they think they're good for the rest of the week. But yeah, there's people out there that
re-upping their subscription.
Yeah, no, it is definitely treated that way. It's like, oh, let me make sure, like, if God is watching, make sure I'm good, which is like the fucked up part of it.
Do 3 Hail Marys and a side order of fries.
Yeah.
It's also, I think ritual is ridiculous anyway. So it's like, it's so hard for me to get on board with all of that. Like, I see it all, to me, like Lucifer and Gabriel and these characters, they're characters from Supernatural to me. Like, they're not, deities or like, angels who are actively watching me. Like, Dean Winchester shot one of them in the head and Castiel blew the other one up when he absorbed all the souls of purgatory. That was a story I enjoyed.
Yeah. No kidding. I hear you, dude. I see both sides just because of my upbringing, and because of who I was at one point. Definitely on the other side of the spectrum now, but I see it all. I see both. Like, it's all, and do I think some people are fucking insane? Yeah, for sure. You get too stuck in, man. You're not coming out on either end. Good or evil. You're not coming out. Like, this can become your entire personality. So that's where it gets to me. That's why I came home from doing mission work. Was this is not 100% who I am. I still like, quote unquote evil stuff. You know what I mean? So it's very hard for me. I would have been lying to myself and to a lot of people that I was working with and people that I was trying to, get along with in that particular organization that I was with. I would have been lying to them, So and I was like, I'm not a liar, so I ain't doing that, So I gotta go home. I gotta go home because I'm not 100% about this. I'm somewhere in the middle. Yeah. At the time, especially, I was still like, I believe this stuff generally. I believe in good and evil and whatever. But I was definitely like, this isn't my entire personality. Like, I still like to listen to secular music. I still like to, talk about things that maybe aren't always, about religion and faith. Whereas, the people I was working with definitely saw it that way.
Yeah. How about that JC? Huh?
Yeah. No, I just watched Meet the Parents, a couple weeks ago, and I love when Owen Wilson's like, JC was a Jew. You're in good company.
If you're gonna pick somebody to model your life after, who better than
Chris? Yeah. Owen Wilson, fuck, he's so good in that. a heat check performance of a lifetime. Owen Wilson. Nice going, Iceman. That movie's wicked, wicked good.
Oh yeah. Um.
Anyways,
Yeah. I love these conversations about just life and faith and all spurned out of films. I wonder what next week. Cool cars probably.
yeah,
But
a little different. Yeah, you like Ford or yeah?
nah, you're a Plymouth man. I can tell.
Yeah.
Um, scene. There are a lot of amazing scenes in this movie.
Oof. God, that's hard, man. That is really, really hard. Of course, we've talked at length about that final bit. I'll try to take it to a different place. I think my favorite, again, like another philosophical, just kind of like wow, and it alludes to kind of like earlier when I was talking about the friendship between our detective and our Jesus man, Karras. Jesus boy,
The worst member of the Justice League ever.
I love when Kinnaman goes and finds him at the track, and kind of like it's kind of weird. It's kind of like, man, fuck off. Like I'm running, I'm like trying to do my own thing. I'm trying to get some exercise, and do I know you? That whole like that initial, and he's like, oh yeah, I know you. That awkward thing, and then they walk and talk together, and what they speak about is just like really resonates with me. Because the angles that they're coming from as a logistic, how do these things happen? Cop, and this guy who's questioning his entire existence. Really, it's such an interesting meeting of the minds while this evil thing is happening up those stairs. It's such a brilliantly shot scene and well done scene as far as the dialogue. So if I was going kind of out of what we've already kind of mentioned, I'd probably pick that. But man, that final 20 minutes is like fuck off. Like it's the best shit ever.
It's the movie, it's good versus evil. It's why we're all here. But yeah, we've talked at length about that. Let's move away from that. I love the dinner party sequence where Burke just gets toasted and starts calling Carl a Nazi.
Yeah. Oh, that's a brilliant scene. The dinner party, the dun, 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 on the piano, and then she pisses on the floor. It's like a great stretch.
You're gonna die up there.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Woo. Yeah.
One of my favorite moments is when Father Merrin arrives and the thing just fucking screams his name across the house.
Merrin.
I got fucking chills.
Oh yeah. It is so good. It's like finally, here we go. The showdown of a lifetime. Like good personified versus evil personified, like boom, like going at it. It is fucking cool. I mean, it's Ollie Frazier. It's like fucking crazy showdown shit.
I admire the balls to actually film the crucifix masturbation sequence and put it in the movie.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if any other director could have pulled that off. Friedkin seems like the only guy who would be willing to actually put that scene together, literally have Ellen Burstyn's face shoved all up in there, and just what the fuck?
Yeah. The fuck me, like that voice is like like it's one of those where you have to laugh to like defend yourself. It's one of those like, what's my defense mechanism here? Am I going to treat it like comedy? And I think a lot of people do. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, the fuck me, and the shoving her. Yeah, it's insane because it's insane because you very rarely see anything like that on the screen. So yeah, great. I mean, brilliant stuff. All the production design of that house, the costume design, the makeup, everything that goes into play as Regan becomes more and more fucking demon. I mean, it's brilliant. It's like beautiful filmmaking. Again, that $12 million budget's very hard to believe.
You just look at this, like at the state of Hollywood just 20 years prior, like 20 years before The Exorcist, Roman Holiday.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now you've got
yeah.
Linda Blair shoving Ellen Burstyn's face into her bleeding vagina. Like,
Yeah.
It's hard to believe it's the same like culture, the same environment.
Mm.
Like wild.
Yeah, yeah. It's both like best picture nominees.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Both like really successful for their time. Both have like certain star power and then some supporting players. Yeah, that's a good that's a great movie to use. Fucking Roman Holiday, the like softest shit ever, like the most like softest charm and bullshit of all time. Like, you know, I like it. I don't love it, but The Exorcist is like hold my beer. Oh man, yeah. I mean, so many of like those the little lines that you killed your mother, you left her alone, die, bastard. Just like the little line readings are fucking great. I love all of those, but yeah, I mean, I think the first 40 minutes of the movie, even the initial, that's Captain Howdy. Hey, Captain Howdy, like that's a great scene. That is a great, like, well constructed horror scene. Gets you going, gets your movie moving. That's like the whole point.
Yeah, just introduce a Ouija board and everyone's like, oh, I see how this went down.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
If your kid ever somehow finds a Ouija board, I doubt y'all are gonna buy one for her. But if she just
Fuck no.
has
Fuck
one,
no.
you nip that shit in the bud as fast as you can.
Yeah, yeah.
Talking about her new imaginary friend.
Anytime we watch a horror movies, and Brown is a big fan, but like we're different, very different horror like watchers, and like as far as our philosophy goes with a lot of this stuff. And she's very much like, and I would say she speaks a lot for like her black and brown community of like, you just go the other way. You just fucking like, if like weird shit starts happening, you don't go into it. But a lot of white people are too curious. And she's like, Austin, you're one of those fucking people who's like, oh, I heard like a noise in the cave. Let me go check it out. And I am one of those people. Like if I hear a noise outside, I'm like, wonder what that was. Where she's like, just forget about it. Just fucking leave it alone, And that's like, I think that's like a huge thing in our American culture is a lot of like the idiots in horror movies are like dumb white people who are like, let me like just test the waters a little further. We watched all the Paranormal Activities recently. All of them are white. They're all white. They're all fucking morons. Like they're all dumb except for the marked ones. That's a Latino family, I think, in like outside of Los Angeles. Which is why like a lot of people are like, this movie's not believable because they just would like not do this. Like the rabbit hole stops,
Yep.
And I see it now. I agree with it. And yeah, Brown is always like, you'd be that guy who's like, oh, weird noise in the attic. Let's check it out. She's right. I'm that idiot.
If we're all ever in some crazy like horror scenario where like the car breaks down in the middle of nowhere or something, Brianna's team leader, and we're all going to listen to her.
100%. Yeah, 100%. She's very much like, this is not going to turn into a horror movie.
Like I have, I've got that Latin blood on my dad's side. I've never had the desire. I've never had the white guy desire to be like, let's go look at that. Like,
yeah,
I don't have that.
You don't have it.
My brown genes overpower the white ones. They're like, stay put.
See, it's real. It's a real thing. Yeah, it's a real. And I talked to a lot of my friends at work are Latino, and they're like, yeah, you're an idiot. A lot of them are like, I totally agree with your wife. Like, she's right. Like, we would just walk the other way. Turn around. It's that easy. Don't buy the Ouija board.
I'm picturing you two in like an Abbott and Costello style horror comedy where like you keep trying to go check something out and she keeps dragging your ass away from it.
Yeah, definitely. I've experienced some strange stuff because of my curiosities. Yeah. To create some good stories. Just hope I don't die one day.
Horror finds me. I don't go looking for it.
I love that too. It certainly will find you.
I've had some hard to explain like waking nightmares and shit that I turned into stories because that was the only way I could cope. But it was also just like, what the fuck is this? But I've never like wandered into like a haunted house and been like, I'm gonna stay here and put up a camera and see what I see. Like, no, What am I fucking stupid? No. No way.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it's right, I don't want to find out that way.
No. No. Yeah. Yeah. This again, I know I'm an idiot. I know I definitely don't like now, especially now. Having a daughter. I definitely my curiosities have gone down way down. But there was a time where I was like, I had a couple friends, a couple guys that you've met. We like willingly were like, let's go visit this abandoned hospital or whatever. Like we would do it. We would go and it would freak the fuck out of us, but we would do it. Like we sought stuff like that out because we were like, God, this will be cool. It's Tuesday night. Let's go check out some weird San Antonio shit. Yeah.
You fucking gringos.
What's funny is one of the guys is his birth father is not a gringo. Or sorry, not, his birth father is, but his adoptive father isn't. So it's like he's white, and that shit comes out.
It's not nurture, it's nature.
Yeah, yes, yeah. His dad's last name is Gutierrez. So like, yeah, his dad would never do that, but his birth father probably would have.
My God, that's crazy.
It's a real thing. Yeah, it's a real thing. Which is why I think so many popular like horror movies, like the leads are white. They're the dumbest motherfucker. They're gonna go do that.
My white mom has dragged me on so many like haunted ghost tours and shit.
Yeah. There you go.
My dad's
like, I'm good.
Never wanted to do any of that shit.
No. Because it's you're asking for it,
I love that. Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, White Regan found a Ouija board and shit went.
Yeah, Captain Howdy is such a great fucking nickname.
You think the demon told her that, or she just named it Captain Howdy?
I don't know. I don't know. That's a great question because I guess if you're trying to lure in a 12-year-old whatever, like Captain Howdy's a little easier than Pazuzu. So
I love thinking like the demon had aspirations. He's like, call me Howdy. No, wait. Captain Howdy. My time to shine.
He was toying with like general or captain.
General's too strong. I don't want to.
Yeah,
too much.
Yeah,
you gotta earn that. You gotta earn that. Captain though, I believe it.
Oh, that's great.
Captain Howdy of the SS bullshit.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Beautiful. Any other scenes you want to spotlight, or should we move on to?
I know we're probably forgetting like some stuff, but I feel like we've kind of gone around the block here. Mentioned, of course, the last chunk of the movie. We mentioned the beginning of the movie. That's like really good. Obviously, a lot of the lick me. A lot of the dialogue from the demon is great. I think we've kind of covered most of the film. And if we haven't, just know that we both love it.
Yes, we do. Well, with that, let's see what Letterboxd has to say on our final segment, What's in the Box?
What's in the fucking box? Give me the gun.
4.0 out of 5. Beautiful.
Yeah, it feels right. Yeah.
I also found it kind of funny that most of the negative reviews of The Exorcist were in Spanish. So I'm sure a lot of them are like, why are you fucking doing that shit? Like, I didn't translate them, but it felt like a lot of them were like, fucking gringos.
Oh, man. That's great. That's great.
It's a 4 out of 5 for me.
What?
Yeah, 4 out of 5. I think that's more than me.
I thought you liked this movie more than I did.
I like it. I love The Exorcist 3.
That's true. You are. Yeah. It's a 5-star to me. I think I give the other one 4.5. Like they're both just fucking beautiful movies to me.
I wish The Exorcist 2 was at least watchable because I wish there was a really good trilogy there.
Yeah, I know. It's just not very good.
That movie blows.
Yeah, it's just not very good. I'm a glass half full kind of guy, but my God, it's hard. It's hard sometimes. I just watched the shittiest movie I've seen in years last night called 11-11-11. Like purposeful dog shit, but I laughed my ass off. So I had a good time, I had fun. I'm gonna watch the sequel. and I'm gonna watch the 12, 12, 12, and I'm gonna watch 13, 13, 13. They are so bad, but so good. It's like The Room. It's like that level, just god awful garbage that makes you appreciate the finer things in life.
That's beautiful. I remember seeing that on your I on Letterboxd see what you guys have watched, and I was like, what? Why?
Yeah, we watched it with Leslie last night. Me, Brianna, Leslie. Well, Brianna was like, "This is dog shit," and she fell asleep. Me and Leslie were just cackling the entire hour and 25 minutes, just like, this is, how could it get worse? Oh, there it is. So like for that, it had some value because I laughed a lot. I hadn't laughed that much in a long time.
My God, well, that's great. I'm glad you had a good time.
Yeah, I usually do. I usually find a way, no matter how bad it is or how much I dislike it. I always find a way to see a silver lining. But Exorcist 2 makes it a little tough.
How do you get Linda Blair and Max von Sydow back? You throw in Louise Fletcher, Richard Burton, and James Earl Jones, and you make one of the most boring horror movies of all time. Shame.
Yeah, just boring, just dull.
Well, I've got 4 reviews here, largely positive, actually all positive, because I couldn't read the negative ones. This first one made me think of you. This is from Dirk H. I hope when my daughter hits puberty, it'll be a tad less eventful. 4 stars.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, no kidding. I got about 10 years. Yeah. Oh boy.
I get a text from you like, her head turned completely around. I need help. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I can't help.
Yeah. What you do is you say, deal with it, stupid white idiot. Yeah. Yeah. You don't help. You don't help. You're hearing that from me.
My next question is going to be, what did you do?
Yeah. What, did you make any deals lately?
Yeah, my next text is going to be to Brianna, which is, what did he do?
Yeah. You're my latest. You look at my Instagram or something, and like a week ago, I'm like, with a Ouija board. Hashtag, here we go.
Oh my God.
Hashtag, let's summon some shit. Just fucking idiot. I'm 40 and I'm bored. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. This next one's from Stewie Griffin.
Fuck yeah.
Was largely amusing. 'Twas not frightening in the slightest. Just largely amusing and disappointing. 3 stars. Now, I included this because 'twas not frightening in the slightest pissed me off.
Yes.
Up your 'twas. And I looked up the rest of his reviews to see if this is something he just does, and no, it's not. He twazzed it specifically for this movie.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
I would have thought it was like a bit. It was a thing that they do.
Nope.
It's kind of disappointing.
Yeah, irritating.
Yeah. Just for this movie. I wonder what the reasoning is.
This next one got a little too real. It's from Coffee.
All right.
just coffee. Only thing scarier than the devil is the idea that nobody, no system, no infrastructure is built to save you or the people around you, haunted by madness, grief, trauma, and pain. Way lonelier, sadder, bleaker movie than I remembered. When even the doctors can't help you, what hope are you supposed to have? 4.5 stars.
Yeah. Well written.
Damn. Yeah. It's a part of the horror that you don't really think about because, the power of Christ compels you and all that is way, overtakes the movie. But the idea that Chris is taking Regan to all sorts of so-called experts and nobody can help her. Nobody knows what's going on. I mean, the scenes of Regan getting like, an MRI and shit, they look medieval.
Yeah.
And you're just thinking like, how are they going to get out of this?
Yeah, I guess we haven't really spoken about just the timing of this particular story, this particular movie, like when it came out, the technology that's involved, there's the state of like culture and what's going on around the world. Just perfect timing. It's like gold. It's we don't quite have like it's just a bunch of people who are like we can't quite figure this out. We can't quite get there. We can't quite tell you what's going on. We can give you these bullshit answers. I mean, there is the great line of she's like, no, like I was on the bed, like it's not spasms, and he's like, she's like, there's a problem or whatever. I think he says like the problem's not her bed, it's her brain or whatever, but like that's all he can give. It's all he can give. He doesn't have any real like fundamental, and this is why. It's just like she's fucked up. Sorry, it's like it's insane. It's really insane. Like the tests and everything that they do. I mean, I guess it's what most normal people would do that aren't Bible thumping, Bible believing Christians. They would be like, I'm gonna go to the doctor, because this is weird, and I have the money to like, figure this stuff out. But yeah, if your healthcare is not helping you at all, where do you turn? You're forced to turn to religion, and you're not even religious. That's like one of the cruxes of the movie is, it's like, damn, she's not this. She don't believe this shit. Ellen Burstyn, the mother, like she doesn't believe all this stuff. So that's like one of the coolest parts of the book, of the movie, of the stories. It's kind of the juxtaposition of everything that's going on. It's brilliant. It's brilliantly laid out.
Yeah, it's the ultimate parental nightmare of I can't help my child and I don't know what to do next.
Yeah, and no one can help my child, and the father's not here.
Yeah, did she ever tell him that this happened? I don't think.
I don't know why she would. She hates his guts. Yeah.
Yeah. Damn.
But you would think at some point on a phone call, you'd be like, oh, by the way, Regan's fucking losing her shit. Yeah, like, by the way, her like lips are like green and there's like shit in her eyes and she's vomiting on people and, turning her neck and fucking stabbing herself. Like, just to let you know, hope work's going good across the pond, you bastard.
Damn, that's a hell of a telegram.
Yeah, right.
This last one's from Ben David Grabinski. A masterpiece. Thank God no one's trying to make a legacy sequel to this. What a mistake that would be. 5 stars.
Yeah.
Oh, we will certainly see, won't we?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of agree with that statement. Just kind of if we could leave things alone, this is one of those things you probably should have left alone. Of course, we get the 3 out of it, but what 6 movies? About to be 7 movies now. It's just
no. This will be the 6th because they're
6th.
Yeah. Okay. The Exorcist 1, 2, 3. Then there were the 2 prequel movies, and then there's this one.
I'm thinking, isn't there a show? We talk about that at all?
There was a show.
Yeah.
I think
it's too much, man.
But I never watched it.
Yeah, no, me neither. I'm not really familiar. Like I know them other than, of course, this one. And 3 I've seen probably 3 times. But all the others, it's like a one and done. Like, I don't know.
I have yet to see The Beginning or Dominion, but I'm watching them this week for the project we're going to do on First Thoughts for the new Exorcist.
Yeah.
Good
luck. Godspeed.
Well, that is The Exorcist. Happy 50th.
Yeah, no kidding, man. Yeah. Happy birthday, fucking you beautiful bastard. You monstrous movie.
I'm just thinking of Paul Simon. Still crazy after all these years.
Yeah. Basically.
This was a blast. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you like the show, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Filmgazm Productions. If you want to suggest films for us to check out, you can email us at filmgazm@gmail.com or send us a message through the socials. Check out our Letterboxd account for daily reviews. If you search for me at Connor95 and in my friends list, you can find the rest of the team. Check out the website, filmgazm.com, where I have a link to that letterbox. You can also find articles, trailers of upcoming films, and every episode of our show. If you'd like to become a monthly donor to Filmgazm Productions, click on the link in the episode description. From there, click on Support This Podcast. You can choose to donate $1 a month, $5 a month, or $10 a month, and all donations go right back into the show. Thanks to the entire Filmgazm team for their contributions. Thanks to Cooley Cow for our awesome theme music. Thanks to you for checking it out. Next week, we'll be discussing another anniversary film, but because it's October, it's another spooky one. John Carpenter and Stephen King's 1983 horror flick, Christine. which follows a haunted killer car that destroys its new owner's entire life so it can have him all to itself. Christine celebrates its 40th anniversary this year, and it's going to be a blast to discuss. I haven't seen Christine in years. I am sad.
Yeah, and you get to talk about John Carpenter. I believe he turned 75 this year.
Fuck.
Yeah, he's just, he's to me, for Filmgazm, he's like the filmmaker.
I recently was at a record store and I found very cheap his on vinyl, like a specialty vinyl, his recent album Lost Themes 3 that he did with his son.
Hell yeah.
It is beautiful. It's all just crazy synth pop 80s nightmare. Wonderful.
Yeah, I love it. It'd be so cool to see him live. My God.
That is, I hope to God I get to do that. Well, yeah. So Christine and a big Carpenter talk next week. That's going to be a blast. In the meantime, don't play with any Ouija boards. Try not to think white. Take it easy. Keep watching movies, and we'll see you next time.